Grown Folks Production. With the commish, Nate.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to OMFL Draft Day. It is season 114 draft. I'm here with you, but I'm absolutely exhausted. As you've seen today, we balled some crawfish. We had a really great time. Let me get my hat up here so you guys can see me just a little bit. Not that anybody wants to see this old ugly mug of mine. I'm absolutely worn out from a really great weekend, but we capped it off with a great day. Only one of my buddies that you see on the screen is actually here with me. Let me welcome in a new guest to the show. First time being with us, Mr. Randy Bronco, man, a.k.a. owner of the Indianapolis Colts. All kinds of words I put in there. Mr. Randy, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, mate?
I am good. The guys are itching. We're starting an hour earlier than normal, trying to help our West Coast friends. Let me go ahead and hit the start button, and then you and I could do some recapping. We're at round 1, pick 23. Guys in the chat, as always, let me know the draft has officially started. The clock is going. We will go through the first 3 rounds with regular time slots. After that, I'm going 1 minute per round, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to get through this thing. Let me know if you see somebody is not here, and I'll make sure that I go ahead and we skip them and skip right ahead and make that happen. So I appreciate you guys all hanging out with us here tonight. Oh, we're covering up some of the stuff. Mr. Big Hurt. Might have to do away with Mr. Big Hurt here as we try to wrap our head around here. I see Priest, Kevin, Bird. I think that's Joker, Tim. Hasn't started yet. Why? Why hasn't? What happened? You're right. It didn't start. Why didn't it start? I hit resume. Oh no. Oh, somebody tell me we are not glitched out. Pause. Resume. Oh no. Oh no, Randy, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not moving on my screen.
Yeah, it ain't moving on anybody's screen.
We need to call the OMFL IT department and get him out here.
Sounds like I joined at a bad time, folks.
There he is, Mr. Big Hurt. Perfect timing, brother. Looks like we have broken the draft.
That is not good. I'm actually driving on my way home, but I was going to be home here in about 5 minutes. So,
all right, let me do this.
But,
let me hit pause. Worst case, Meek, you've had all night to pick, and so I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna restart. Worst case, I will try resuming and then skipping Meek because technically we should have started 10 minutes ago. So
EA Sports, it's in the game.
I mean, technically, I could sit here and do a manual clock, but that would be absolutely brutal. I do not want to have to do that. Big Hurt, how's your Sunday going, brother?
It's been pretty good. It wasn't as busy today as it's been the last 2 days. So, got a lot of my paperwork done for the week and got my truck order in and my liquor order done. And so tomorrow should be a nice and easy day for me. But
nice.
You got all that done and heading home hoping there's some crawfish left over.
There's just enough crawfish to make an etouffee this week. That is about it, though. Not enough to invite everybody over, but one of these days I will win the lotto and we will be able to do that. All right, let me see. Let's see what happens here. All right, resume draft. No. Okay, we're going to skip. Can I skip next pick? Oh, I can't believe this, y'all.
What is...
Well, we're left with one option.
We ain't got no automatic transmission tonight. We're gear shifting the whole way through this thing.
We may be gear shifting through this whole thing. This is a terrible way to open up a show, by the way.
But as the OMFL always does, we will find a way.
We will find a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. That is what they say. Let me fix something really quick. This thing is bothering the heck out of me. It is not perfect, but it will do for tonight. Trying to fix the vertical stream real quick. Yeah, it's about as good as we're going to get for tonight. We're going to leave that alone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no clock. I'm going to have to announce this. This is going to have to be a manual thing. Oh, boy.
Well,
It is, I guess.
I can do this. I was gonna say, if you have like a stopwatch or something, like a clock, a digital clock, you can just put it up on your stream so people can see it.
Oh, there is no way I could do that.
Otherwise, I'm like I said, I'm gonna be home here in about a couple minutes. I can do the clock. I only have 3 or 4 picks. I could do the clock and just basically announce when you have like 10 seconds left or 20 seconds left or something like that.
Yeah, we might have to do 30-second warning and then a 10-second warning and then advance this thing. That's all we can do, fellas. So I'm going to think through the clock option. I don't think I've got any way to put a clock on the stream. I didn't think this thing would glitch out. It has never done this before,
What if you put like a stopwatch on or like a timer on your phone? And just put your phone up on this.
Yeah, my phone is absolutely murdered and is dead and charging. And the way my setup is, there would be no way to... I'd physically have to hold it in front of everybody. That's not going to happen. Well, chat, as always, let me know. I can't keep going back and forth, especially now with me keeping on a manual clock. It's going to be the worst draft show ever, but we're going to try. We're going to make fun of it. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. Let me know if there's someone to skip, so I don't sit here and wait forever, especially with a 2-minute manual clock. I got to figure out a way to keep time until Big Hurt does get home. I will just manually keep it in my head.
I'm turning down my street right now, but if we want to start a post with guys that are not at the draft.
Well, we have our chat. We have our not at draft chat. I know that the Cowboys are not here. But like the Seahawks didn't post. He actually never posts when he's not here. And I'm sure there are going to be others that just aren't here. But we'll figure it out.
Twinkie just posted he's not here.
Twank. No Twinkie, no Eagles, no Cowboys. We know those for sure. Chargers, Logan's up. What's up, Koch? I always pause. Like, I know this name. I know who this is. And I always have to read the last name. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it. It's Mr. Koch. Logan's up here. Hey, I'm going to run through a couple of these picks while they're making their picks. Bucks started us out with A.J. Glenn. Washington Commanders got D'Angelo Henry, so 2 cornerbacks going back-to-back. Larry Milton, defensive tackle, goes over to Miami. Connor Stafford, a great middle linebacker, goes over to Crazy and the Rams. Snead goes over to San Francisco. Why he keeps drafting cornerbacks, I'm not, at this point, I'm not getting it. Like, I understand the initial concept, but like at this point, you got 6. It's like, I don't know. Then again, he robbed a team this week. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, what a stupid move, Nicehunger. Anyway, Chargers, Dylan Sheldon got to a cornerbacks going off the board. Clifton Thomas, left tackle, goes to my Saints. He's absolutely terrible. He will not start this entire year. Trevin Hampton, cornerback, goes over to the Falcons. Gunnar Mason, tight end, goes over to the Patriots. Ashley Street, a left end, goes over to the Raiders. Morris Vernon goes over to the Miami Dolphins, a strong safety. And then another run of cornerbacks. Carlos Bayless, defensive tackle, over to Houston. Henson, defensive tackle, to the Browns. McBride, defensive tackle, to Kansas City. So cornerbacks and defensive tackles, if you needed either of those, they're all gone. Boost, cornerback, goes over to the Titans. Crompton, a wide receiver, goes to the Cardinals. Halfback Forbes goes over to the Giants. He posted him. He was the number 1 rated player up to this point. I got mixed up here. Warwick, left guard, goes over to the Lions. McDonald, tight end, goes to the Texans. Cameron, right outside linebacker, goes to the Browns. Sloan, outside linebacker, goes to the Titans. Norris, another defensive tackle, to the Hawks. Burbank, tight end, to the Steelers. I cannot believe the run on cornerbacks, right outside linebackers, defensive tackles, and tight ends. Elliott, outside linebacker, goes to the Panthers. Garvin, halfback, goes to the Commanders. Melvin, defensive tackle, to the Lions. Dixon, left tackle, over to the Chargers. Clemens, outside linebacker, over to the Panthers. And then now we've got Broncos, Ravens, and Bears. Oh my, as we wrap up round number 1. Quite the draft here for like the Lions, the Texans, the Panthers, multiple first round, the Commanders, multiple first round picks. And those guys are starting to pile up some really talented players.
A lot of great players came off the board. I mean, like you said, there's absolutely no cornerbacks left. So that was your plan. Good luck. Sorry. Looking at through some of the snapshots, I'd say my favorite pick is also my least favorite pick. The corner that the Titans snabbed is a 6'3", 95 speed guy. So that's going to be fun to deal with 2 times a season.
I'm interested after the elephant tears that were cried about us playing all Madden. I'm interested to see, going back to all pro, how much of this actually matters. I just feel like all pro is going to be dumbed down, and all players are going to kind of play the same. They're all going to play stupid, and it won't really matter. But I guess we'll find out here soon enough. So we're up to Mr. Colin and the Bears, 32. What a run for Chicago. A great OMFL bowl game. They had to do a little bit of a comeback there, but man, they win their first championship here. What do you think about watching that one, Logan, from the sidelines? Not Logan, listen to me. I don't know why I had Logan on the brain. Bronco Man, I get caught. Do I call him Bronco Man? Do I call him Randy? I get caught in between, so I'll probably hover between both of those. But Randy, watching that one from the sidelines, what'd you think about that one?
It was one of the more intense, I'd say, games that I've watched since I've been here. A lot of times I feel like the bowl games kind of turn into blowouts. And that one it felt like 2-3 times Nips was about to run away with it. And then Colin just kept staying in there, staying level-headed. And it was kind of just out of nowhere in that fourth quarter. It flipped on its head. It was a really ton of fun to watch.
Mr. Colin, you got 1 minute. I'm just doing this off in my head until we get Big Hurt. I'm not going to freak out about it. Quite
I can keep
the run.
Stopwatch for you.
Okay,
while
that'll work.
Hurt.
Yeah, until we get Big Hurt. Just give me a 1 minute warning. Actually, give me a 30-second warning and then a 10-second warning. And they'll all be able to hear you, and we'll make that happen.
Okay.
Lower down the music just a hair. All right, we're off into round 2. Let me up the voice chat so everybody can hear. Capture, we're going to lower the capture down just a hair. We don't need to have that so high. When it comes to my pick, I will go on Be Right Back, which looks like this. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be able to hear everything. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know in chat if you can hear this, if you can hear Randy. He was just talking. And I'm going to see if this thing unpauses. So come down here. Oh, no, it's already on pause draft, so. Nope. 'tis glitched. Maybe it'll kick itself out after.
Yeah, that's
All
bizarre.
right.
I've never seen it happen.
So they can hear you guys whenever I go and be right back. I can make my pick without having to stress out about left end. Tart goes over to Tampa Bay. So he goes cornerback, left end, back-to-back here, first and second rounds. A team that is better than their wins per season. I think his wins personally are very mental. It's a mental game, but he is starting to compile some assets there. I think he even picked up a receiver there in round one. I think he had multiple round one picks. So starting to build some assets there on the defensive side for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, for sure. He also, if I remember right, he got Olave in free agency. So he's definitely, I think he's trending up.
I think that's the receiver I had off in my mind. Yeah, he got Olave. I don't know if he had multiple first rounds. I seen him in chat, so maybe he'll let us know.
Raiders got about 45 seconds on the clock.
All right. Yeah, just interrupt me. Don't worry about it. Just say 1 minute or say 30 seconds and then 10 seconds. Just kind of interrupt me. So you heard that, Mr. J. Bowles, loud and clear. Hopefully. If not, sorry. All right, we're back. Oh, Twinkie, we can skip.
Yep.
And now we're over to Mr. Nicehunger, who's also not here. But I don't know if he's drafting. Tim, find out for me. I seen you in here, Tim. Find out if he's drafting via remote or somebody else is drafting for him. Let me know if I can skip him or not. While they're doing that, I'm going to go be right back. I'm going to start looking at my draft board. Logan, that means you and Hurt, when he gets here, you guys get to fill in the air. You don't have to. Pick. By the way, you don't have to time me. I'm the commish. Everybody knows how this works. I'm going to take my time, so.
Take all the time you need.
I'm going to hurry up. I always feel the pressure to hurry up, so y'all don't worry about it.
A lot of these picks coming off the board look real good right now, though. Looking back at that first round, a lot of names stood up. That running back Bill took was great. I thought it was also funny how we were talking in chat about number one player, but he gets an A-. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. Broncos snapped a pretty good looking halfback. My dog is snoring next to me, so hopefully that's not coming through. But
I am officially home.
Let's go. Nate's making his picks right now.
Dude.
Big Hurt, you got any first round picks that caught your eye people made?
I'd have to go back and look, to be honest. I being at work, I didn't get to tune in as much as I would normally do.
Sure.
But I think the Titans pick for sure, the corner.
Yeah.
A little interesting to see. I think it was the Niners took another corner. Yeah.
The corner that the Falcons took looked real good. Nate takes outside linebacker DeMarcus Hill. I'm curious to see. Hopefully it's a good player. I also really like the tight end.
Okay. I really was thinking about taking the LSU player, but this guy was supposed to be faster, and so I went ahead. Oh, it's back to me, so let me get back over here. Y'all keep talking.
I do like the pick that the Rams got, a big 253-pound linebacker that has 86 speed, 86 acceleration, hidden dev. That was a pretty good run-stopping linebacker playing against in a division where you got D-Money who can run the ball well. And then also Meek, who, I mean, he can play the pass game or a run game, but I just feel like that was a good pick for the Rams.
Definitely. I agree. I really like the tight end Gunnar Mason that the Patriots took. He was 89 speed out of a 6'4", 250 vertical threat tight end. Not the greatest blocker, but he's definitely going to be a good pass catcher for him with Rusty Starr. It was also pretty interesting too. I don't know if this is just the way this draft was, but there was a ton of early guys that had like some real good ratings, but most of them were normal dev. And then towards the second half of the first round, there was some hidden started coming off the board.
Right. That defensive tackle, Greg McBride, that Shock's got, looked to be more of an athletic defensive tackle, finesse type of guy. Not high in strength, but he does have 80 speed and 82 agility, 82 agility, 87 acceleration. That can be a guy that could, play well in like a run game, to outside zones and stuff, stretch plays if he can get off the block, and also in the pass rush. But like I said, at 297 pounds, a little more agile, might be able to slide him out and play as like a 3-4 end more than anything. But interested to see how Shocks can use him.
Yeah, I definitely think he probably will get moved to left or right end just with the size there, but good speed out of the guy.
Lions and Titans piling up on second round picks. Kansas City has multiple picks. Chicago has multiple picks. I feel like round one is where you get the sexy names, right? The guys that are probably be, for the rookie of the year. But round 2 and 3, that's where you really make a difference. To me, that's where guys like Trey has done like historically well over the years. Those round 2 to 3, you find 2 or 3 playmakers in that range, man, you dramatically shift the overall of your team and the direction of your team.
100%.
Raiders. What are we looking for the Raiders to grab here? I think he needs some defensive help.
I think everybody needs some defensive help except for a few people, but as we say that, he goes Wayne Small, wide receiver out of Colorado.
I don't love these receivers. Fleury asked me about my receiver, another bum. I don't know why I'm so bad at drafting. I am just the worst. I don't know if I just don't have enough time to put into it. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I've turned in from a pretty good drafter to a pretty terrible drafter. And every guy that I've drafted this cycle has been a pretty bad bum. So my drafting this season's already in the poop hole. So we'll just keep sucking it up and get through the rest of this cycle and take a break. We're over to the Bengals. Bengals, one of the teams that have not really hit the standard that they set last cycle. I think Little Koch came into this Madden cycle with a lot of hype. I don't love that word. I was trying to find a better word. Maybe hype doesn't fit, but a lot of excitement. Maybe that word fits a bit better. He's not quite hit that, and I can't figure out why. I don't know what it is that they're missing because he can put up great points. Maybe it's defense. You see he goes middle linebacker, Kendrell Claxton there. So maybe it is defense that they need, but the Bengals are a team that needs to turn things around here this cycle and go on a run.
Yeah, having played him last season, we had a conversation after our game, and it was a no defense game, and he was like something along the lines of, "I bet you wish you could play my defense every week." I was like, "Yeah, I kind of do." So it's just there wasn't much there to trying to stop any type of offense, at least in our game. So in my experience playing him, that's where he's kind of lacking. He has great wide receivers, a fantastic running back, good quarterback. So he definitely needs to shore up that D. And just by the way, I am keeping time. Nobody's got close enough for me to give a warning.
Sweet.
So
I appreciate it. So we got the Bengals with back-to-back picks here.
I also think the Bengals being in that division, that's kind of a defensive built division with Nipple, Penguins over in Pittsburgh, and then Denver. And I mean, he can play to the best of offense, but he can also lock it down defensively. All that entire division just can really step it up on the defensive side. And so the Bengals being more an offensive team, he definitely needs to match that on the defensive side.
What about the Titans, man? The Titans took one little step back last year. He and I had some conversations. Brian Keenan, defensive tackle, goes over the Bengals. So as we say, they need a bit more defense. He goes middle linebacker, defensive tackle, back-to-back. Now his buddy Denver and the Browns are on the clock. I'm not here to share people's story, but Kobe was going through a lot personally. And I think that, along with just moving to a little bit younger team, cheaper team, even though he had a pretty young, cheap team, but he decided to make some moves to set himself up for the rest of the cycle. Took one small step back, was still a very double-digit winning team, still went deep into the playoffs, still had a really good season. Now he's compiled a bunch of picks again. He's got 3 here in a span of 6 picks. So the Titans are going to be another team looking to rack up on some talent. Man, if he hits these out of the park, he's going to be a problem the rest of the cycle.
I think the Titans for me, I don't know what was going on with Kobe in his personal life. I know that he wasn't as engaged or locked in as his championship season. But I also think, on the flip side of mentioning the championship season, once he won, he kind of put the bullseye on his back. I mean, it happens every single year. So this year, Colin's going to have that bullseye. Every year, the champion has that bullseye that they carry, and you're going to get everybody's A game because they want to beat the champ. They want, and you're running typically a better schedule, a tougher schedule, because you're playing better opponents, because you're running usually a top seeded schedule. And so I think that accumulated with not being as engaged, and then he moves his big playmaking safety over to Pittsburgh. And that guy, as you talked, I think 2 seasons ago, that dude single-handedly won a game or 2 in the playoffs. So
he won that game
with
in Buffalo.
Those 3 things that stack up, it's just hard to repeat.
What about the other guy? And what about the guy that doesn't win? Do you feel like they also have, in their conference at least, a bullseye on their back?
I think anybody that has the type of season that D Wayne has had or D Money's had, the success, the consistency from me, you get that target on your back. I think it's just easy to pinpoint the champion or who recently won. But for me, it's, when I know that I'm going to play Meek Boy or D Money or D Wayne, Trey, before he, took his period of time or a break. Now that he's back in, but those types of runs or success, even if they're not hitting a championship every single year, that they're going to be there. That's going to be a game that you got to really try to play your best game, air free, no turnovers, can't make mistakes type of game. And so I got to bring my A game on those.
My pick is coming up here, but before it comes up completely, I wanted to give a little shout out to Lost, I believe, is the one who put it together. But that Playoff Madness new incentive, it looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, that was a Priest's idea.
It was Priest's idea. Cool. Well, I filled my my little bracket out, and I think it's going to be challenging. So it looks like just like a ton of fun. Good way to stay engaged, and another fun thing we do. So I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, before you get out of here, though, what do you think about the guy who doesn't win at all? Do you think they also get a bullseye on their back in their conference at least?
100%. I mean, I think Nips is a great player, and I think step one to get into the Super Bowl is winning in your conference. So the people in the AFC they want to take out that guy to get to where they want to go, and I think right now he's the top dog in the AFC. So that's the guy with the bullseye on his back there. But I'm gonna go ahead and make my pick.
Yep, it's your pick. Earl Hayward, outside linebacker. Let's go through a couple of these. Actually, I'll go back one. So Holiday, wide receiver, goes over to Browns. Fitzgerald, a strong safety, goes over to Kansas City. Ingram, defensive tackle, to the Titans. Well, he was fast on that. Christie, left end, goes over to the Cardinals. Haywood, outside linebacker. Ooh, excuse me. The crawfish talking now. Haywood, right outside linebacker, Giants. I was trying to suppress that thing. It wouldn't. Carr, cornerback, goes over to the Lions. Meekins, right guard, goes over to the Titans. Ballmer, cornerback, goes over to the Colts. Back to the Titans. Seahawks, Bears, coming to the end of the second round here. We're rolling along, man. I fascinated, and you guys got to help me understand. Maybe it was deep. Like I don't know. I'm even at a loss of word. Like, I'm fascinated by the cornerbacks. Like, why? Why have we seen 15 cornerbacks go in the first 2 2/3 rounds of the OMFL. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's so many good cornerbacks out there in this league already. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm starting to scratch my head. At some point here, this thing is going to hit no value return. You know what I mean? It's like too many cornerbacks out there. Like wide receivers, everybody's got a 93 speed wide receiver. You got to have a 97 speed wide receiver to even pique anyone's interest in this league. And I think here soon it's going to be the same with the cornerbacks. I think everybody's just trying to copy D Money again. It's like, yo, we've had other teams win here. There's other sort of teams you can be influenced by. I don't know. It's very confusing.
I agree with that. I also think that, in particularly right now, it's influenced by D Money, but I think it's being influenced also by Nipples. When he had, what was it? I want to say his whole secondary was over a 90 starting secondary, if not doggone close. And I mean, I know what I did in that AFC title game, and I saw what he did to a lot of other people. And I think people want to emulate that, and I fell into it. I just took a corner. But
yeah, that definitely was not aimed at you with the corner. I don't think Meek's here, so feel free to make sure you keep me. We've seen so many go. Big Hurt, I can envision the day, you know, I'm Bronco Man. He's been around for a while now, but you've been around for a really long time, Hurt. Like, I can see this thing switching here soon where you guys are going to start pounding the rock. Guys are going to start getting, 25, 35 carries with 2 and 3 running backs. Back in those old Priest days when Priest used to do that a lot, right? Like, and it don't matter if you can roll out 7 cornerbacks. We're just going to keep punching you in the face.
I think it's, it's funny that we're on the Seahawks right now, but like throwing back to what you just said, the play style, like Mo, remember Mo's old consistency? Like, Mo had those, games where he would just pound the rock, run the rock, 2 backs, and it was just like, it was like mind-numbing. You're just beating your head against a brick wall because that guy just run it right down your throat. And that was like
10 seconds, by the way.
But I think the big thing for cornerback for me, I think the reason that you're seeing a lot of it is everybody wants to get that potential import player and find the corner that can get into that like 90 overall range, bring him over into the next Madden, because that is the hardest thing. And right out of the gate, it always seems like the corners is the spot where most teams lack, and it's such a high impact position. Knowing that we've got roughly 2 seasons left, you can bring a corner over that potentially has built up and progressed to like a 90, but still be on a rookie contract, and then re-sign them, and you have that staple corner, lockdown corner for the entire cycle.
Yeah, maybe. We're definitely running out of time this cycle for you to build a 6-man, 90-plus overall cornerback backfield. Good luck doing that. What do I know? I've won less than 15 games this entire cycle, so maybe I should not have an opinion at all. It is making me scratch my head a lot. This was a pretty weak draft, D-Money. I agree with you. I think it was an overall weak draft, but it's still pretty head-scratching. Also, not a fast draft. Like, I think the fastest or the second fastest speed guy left in the draft. My guy was 92 or 93 speed. So it's not a ton of speed left out there, where I remember the drafts where, if you got the top guys, even in the 3rd round, you were getting 97 speed wide receivers, 96 speed cornerbacks. It feels like those days of Madden are gone. Miles, outside linebacker, goes to the Bears. Wiggins, left end, goes to the Bills. Culver, outside linebacker, to the the Raiders. Harrison, guard, goes over to the Lions. I think we've had some pretty decent offensive line fall here, so we might see some really good guys get picked up here late. Falk, middle linebacker, goes to the Chargers. We got Packers, Chiefs. I don't know why these names are not coming to me. I'm very fatigued here, y'all. I'm pushing through. Ravens and Bears. Oh my.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh. On the O-line point, I think there was not a lot of good targets to begin with, but with the run on corners, D tackles, tight ends, guys who probably should have been taken in the first are falling to the second, third round because they just weren't taken.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
there wasn't a ton of them to begin with, but they're kind of falling here. So I think there's going to be some good value picks coming up with the O-line.
What's with the run on defensive tackles? That's another one that sort of scratched my head. I know that was the overall best position, so maybe guys are just drafting best overall position, but there's been quite the run on defensive tackles.
I think for me, when I look at the draft, I didn't see a lot of the skill guys being deep. And so I think it was a couple seasons ago, I want to say 2 drafts ago, maybe 3 drafts ago, we saw a heavy run in like the meat and potatoes, the defensive ends, defensive tackles. And then it was like last year and the year before or whatever, we saw a lot of corners and like receivers where Potts went to the Bears. We had Belton went to the Bears, the Staley's to the Jets. I think the Colts, you got a receiver in a corner. But we saw a lot of skill guys. And so this draft is kind of one of those where you build the as Nate always uses, the non-sexy pick, but it's the pick that's important. And so again, like what you just said, is just drafting based off of value is kind of what I think is important. And every so often that draft pops up, and it's important to draft that because that's what builds your team too. And the Bears showed that with their offensive line against the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I want to take a defensive
third round.
Yep. Glenn Porter, a left guard, goes over to Tampa to get us going here in the third round. I almost went defensive tackle. Maniac in the chat says defensive tackle cornerback was the deepest and best rated. But I'm always sort of, I hear you, but when you start getting to the 8th and 9th and 10th best cornerback in the first round, it's like there's got to be greater value somewhere else. You're on the 8th best defensive tackle. I mean, how many good there's got to be another position. I don't know. It's a head scratcher to me. And maybe again, what do I have? I have nothing to talk about here. I've got nothing, no skins on the wall the last 2 cycles. So clearly this is a Nate problem. It's been a bit of a head scratcher to watch this draft. I'd also say that I almost took a defensive tackle for me, but I run a 3-4 with that number 7 pick. They were all too small. They were all, right at 300 or sub 300. And in a 3-4, I've already got 2 big defensive ends. So yeah, I couldn't move them to defensive end. I needed, that big, 330, 340, 350 guy right there in the middle. And they just didn't have a lot of those up there at that number 7th pick. And so I too, for the rest of this draft, I'm just trying to get value. I'm trying to find give me the best player that's up here. What's going to bring me the best value? I think the guy who does that very sneakily and very underratedly really good. 2 guys come to mind. Colin with the Bears, who's up now, and Roger and the Texans. I think those 2 guys just find quality players and just build really good teams. And it's been something I haven't done well. And I know I haven't started with sort of the best thing to work with. My Saints, the last couple of Madden cycles have been a really tough team to start with, and I haven't figured out the trick to hit the reset button as fast as others have. But those 2 players, I think, always find quality players no matter where we are in the draft.
For sure. I think kind of with the run on specific players in certain drafts. I mean, we even see it in the NFL in real life. I mean, I'm just thinking of this example because as a Broncos fan, but last year there were 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks. That doesn't happen a whole heck of a lot, but there was a needy position, and a lot of people thought certain teams reached, and they turned out to be okay. So I think it's about scheme fit. It's about what you want to do, and it's a copycat league, and people are copying nips, and they're copying D money certainly with these corners for sure, and D tackles are just as important. So I think it's just one of those things where follow the leader almost.
My pick's coming up here, so I'm gonna let you guys fill in the airways here.
Sounds good. I'm still keeping time. I don't know if you are hurt, but I've been doing my best here. But people are going quick, so haven't had to interrupt too much.
Yeah.
I feel like the Rams have been up for quite some time, no?
I was talking when they switched their picks, so I didn't stay on it exactly. I only have them at a minute right now, but it could be longer. So I don't have my sound on my monitor to hear when the picks are changed, so I just look up. I'd say another probably 30 seconds.
All right, 30-second warning.
Now that I'm situated, I can actually.
Yeah, if it's easier for you, that'd be good. I'm going back and forth between my app, Discord app, and my stopwatch app on my phone.
Nope. Yeah, I got a stopwatch on my phone right by my monitor here where the pick is, or where the timer is. So I'll keep track of it.
Sounds good. But yeah, he's got 10 seconds, and which might be a little generous, but that's where we're at. So
5 seconds. Skip.
Alrighty. All right, let me go grab my pick.
Big Hurt, for you, what was you're coming into this offseason? What are you like? I have to upgrade this position group. What was that for you?
Offensive line.
Yep, me too. And it didn't work.
Yeah,
Not
offensive
a
line
great
was a big
draft
thing
for
for me.
offensive line.
I also had a couple holes, but I wouldn't say it was like a huge gaping hole. Like I needed a second receiver. Losing Diggs. Diggs played pretty big for me last year. Then a corner. I just felt like I was missing that corner for this year. Kind of throughout the year, like in some of the games where we play. I'm trying to think like the Jets. It teams that would pass the ball pretty well. I struggled when a team had multiple options in the receiving game. So I wanted to get a second corner, and I filled that with Taron Johnson, the corner in the free agency. And then, I just, like I said, overall, it was offensive line. I did get one big signing there, but we'll see, what's left and how the draft goes. I did not have a pick in the first, second, or fifth round in this draft. I kind of made that, and then it kind of worked out just because of the depth, and I didn't feel like this was a super deep draft anyways. And then I also didn't know if I was even going to be able to make the draft. So obviously at the time when I made those trades, I didn't know that was going to happen, but it kind of worked out for me in that aspect.
For sure.
Bronco Man, you're going to be coming up. I know that our guy Raj is up right now. I don't know who told right tackles in free agency that they are worth $30 million a year, but that money being tossed around for right tackles, it was just right tackles. Offensive linemen in general was pretty elevated, but those right tackles, I was stunned by the money that those right tackles were getting. It just didn't make, again, a lot isn't making sense for me tonight. I'm killing that phrase to death, but the right tackle money made no sense to me.
I also feel like outside linebackers, there was a couple that I looked at, but they were making like 12, 13 million. And I was just like, geez, I mean, we're not even talking like high end. We're talking, I'd say middle of the road, average, high 70s, low 80s, which isn't like, I mean, he could start, but you're not talking like a guy that's got like a superstar abilities or X factor, and we're talking, I just feel like that's high dollar for a guy. Plus, in the free agency, at times, if there's a player out there, you better be ready to bid and get into a bidding war with some of those guys. I know like Max Crosby. There was a couple guys like last year, even I think Brainy, you got into a bidding war for Frederickson, the receiver. I mean, those things are just like you better be ready with it and have like an empty checkbook, because if the guys want them, they're gonna pay them.
Patriots. They just took Jimmy Stevenson, halfback. He's going to go play for lost in New England Patriots. Lost, I think, I don't know how other people view them. Like, I don't know what everybody thinks about everybody, but for me, it's just one of the most genuine, authentic, nice guys that, like, I'm sort of stunned plays here. It's like he's like a lot of all of you. Like, we're really blessed in this league. I never get to a place where I don't appreciate where we are, but we have so many successful, brilliant men that play here that you could be doing anything else, playing anywhere else, doing whatever else you want with your time, but yet you support this place and play here. The Patriots hit a terrible roadblock, and that was losing their quarterback for most of the season. Now they're going to go get their quarterback, rebuild, and have, all of these other assets. What do we expect? A fullback. Oh, sorry. That's done me so bad from Trey. Trey loves his fullbacks. I do too, Trey. I'm a fullback guy, but man, taking one in the third round is pretty ballsy. What are we expecting from Lost and the New England Patriots this year? He's got his quarterback. He's going to be healthy.
I was going to say, he's got his quarterback back. I expect him to be contending for a playoff spot again.
Sorry, I'm cooking dinner right now. But I love that tight end he picked, and we've seen what he can do when he's got a healthy team. He still kind of gives me crap that one game we commentated, Star got hurt. So maybe it's my fault that the draft clock's not working. I might just be the OMFL's bad luck charm, I guess. Hopefully. But no, I think he's going to be real good this game.
Fleury, he will be a defensive tackle for me. I don't know that he'll start, but he might. Hidden Dev, overall, a pretty decent looking player. Not a finished product, as nothing in this draft has been. But it's been the only pick this draft so far I've been pretty decently happy with. Kevin says Olave got paid, but I had the space and sit Godwin packing with this 86 speed. Don't worry, Olave will be there next year, so you'll have to deal with Olave and that big contract and not a lot of money. Let's go through a couple of these here. Clements, fullback, he goes to the Commanders. Stunned me so bad I had to pause mid-sentence. Sweet, a cornerback, goes over the Eagles. If you're picking a no, that was a CPU pick, but if you're picking a cornerback at this point, like, what are you getting? The 50th best cornerback in the draft? It's kind of crazy to me. Weston, wide receiver, going over to the Bengals. Not a good draft for these wide receivers. Trebier, I don't know if I'm saying that well, right? Or left guard, going to go play for Logan and the Chargers. We got the Browns, the Chiefs, the Falcons up, and we're about halfway-ish through the third round, and this thing is moving along. After this big herd, we're going to move to 1 minute picks. So everybody just we're going to go to 1 minute picks right after this round. Be Johnny on the spot. Let's get this thing rolling here. On my not at draft anymore list, I have Cowboys, Eagles, Panthers, and Seahawks, just because I've skipped him. I've skipped him a lot so far. So until he says something, I'm just going to keep skipping him. What about you, Hurt? I've been sort of ranting and raging about cornerbacks and defensive tackles. What has been the thing that's caught your eye?
The big thing for me this draft that I've noticed is the amount of the parity in this league has been, I think, at its tip-top highest that it's been in OMFL for quite some time, I think. But I've noticed some of the guys that have had a lot of success this cycle have had a lot of picks this draft. The Bears, the Titans, the Seahawks. I feel like I've seen them a handful of times already, and so it's kind of interesting to see like how they've had so much success, but they're also building, stockpiling these picks into this draft, and how that's going to continue to play in their favor will be interesting. But that's kind of, and then as far as position, like I said, I think, I mentioned a little bit ago, I think it's just more grabbing the meat and potatoes, nothing on the super skilled positions, but the defensive line, the middle linebacker that's going to be a run stopper, or that change of pace. I think Trey got a really good running back in the 26 pick. Was about 230 some pounds, but had decent speed. I'm sure Trey will figure out a way to use him pretty well. But some of the other picks, I just don't feel like you're seeing any of the standout receiver or the standout pass rusher or like a quarterback. I think Maniac might have mentioned it if I look back in the comments that there was no quarterback taken in the first or second round, and that's almost unheard of for an OMFL draft.
I want to talk about teams that intrigue me. I was going to start setting XP and setting sliders since we're sitting here going through the draft. Teams that intrigue me. I want to talk about that for the next little bit. I just want you guys to pick teams that intrigue you. Here's one that intrigues me. Arizona Cardinals had some big wins. We've seen Joker win a lot of games in this league. We've seen him go on runs and make it to the playoffs, but never sort of a real threat in the playoffs. We haven't seen him get to a conference championship. We haven't even really seen him threaten to get to a real conference championship. What is it that the Cardinals need to do? Tough division. We all sort of own that. We understand what's taking place, and now there's some hate. There's some real life animosity there that is never going to be a good, fun thing. But what do we need to see from the Cardinals to turn things around and get that team being like a real competitor for a championship here?
Joker is a great player. He's one of the, if not the best, he wrecks havoc in your backfield with whoever he's using on the D-line. He knows how to do it. I have no idea how to do it, so props to him for that. Also want to point out another fullback's been off the board just now.
I seen that.
But yeah, I think competing in that division is always going to be tough. When I first joined, I was a Seahawks, and quickly it was like, yeah, I'm not staying here. So he's put together a great team. I think he's got the winning mindset. He wants to win. He hates losing as much as anybody. So I think that was actually the pick I was going to say when you asked the question. So I'll have to think on another one. But I think Joker's a good pick for that.
Yeah, I think I want to see some things for that defense. Clearly, Joker understands how to put up a lot of points. Using the defensive line was really his secret sauce, and that sort of can be hit and miss. I think it will be more powerful as we go back to All-Pro. That's what some of you wanted, though, so that's what some of you are going to get, and I hope you get all the D-line usage you can get out of it. But I think NBC is on All Madden. I think he enjoys All Madden more. I think we've seen him start to find his legs under him for All Madden. I need to see something from the defense, especially as we move into All-Pro. To see that team take kind of the next step forward. It'll be a blast, though, when they finally do.
Definitely. Hurt just made his pick. Peter Abraham, left end. Carolina made theirs too, but they're getting skipped, right?
Yeah, I'm skipping them. Them, Seahawks, Falcons. There's somebody else that posted. I need to go remind myself here. I mean, I'm nervous about skipping this, but
Broncos are also done.
So this list is ever growing. Let me get out of this. See if I can't update this really fast.
Kind of answering your question, I think for me, the teams that kind of stick out and that are intriguing to me, I got a few, and I'm just gonna quickly mention them and then kind of a short sentence on why they intrigue me.
We got all night, so you don't even have to be sharp.
Yeah, no, the Colts, I think they intrigue me just because of the success that they had last season. And I think if he adds a few pieces, the guys that were key contributors, the rookie receiver, rookie corner, if he adds a few pieces to that, builds his offensive line, which he mentioned he wants to do, he's got the Jonathan Taylors, he's got Fredrickson and that other rookie receiver, he's got some defensive playmakers. And I think he also found some traction and now knows what he has to do and has the confidence. And when you give confidence to Bronco Man, that's dangerous. I think the Steelers are another team. I think he's kind of been on that like edge, waiting to kind of tip over the top and break through on that division. Nipple, his success. Denver's I think first year had his success with the division. So if trends are to be true, then maybe the Steelers, it's his time or what they have. He had a good team. He walked into the postseason last year with 2 big injuries to the safety and a receiver, had a really close game against the Jets and ended up losing on like a final play. I think the Steelers are ready to turn the corner and make a big impact on his season. And then also not having a first place schedule is going to impact him. I think the Commanders, Trey is now going to be locked in, ready to go. He's got his team. He's made some offseason. You give Trey an offseason, he'll do wonders, and it'll almost be jaw-dropping on how did you do that in just one offseason? And then my last team is I think your Saints. I played you last year, and I was just like, man, this team is like for an 80, whatever, 3-4 overall. They play so much better than that. And I think you've got such a dynamic ability offensively with Hal that is such a difficult receiver to defend. But defensively, we've talked about it, just the way you play safety. And I think if you add some pieces, depth, I think your team could be something that could contend and win the South. And then my last one that I just forgot about was the Patriots. You lost a quarterback back in the first 2 seasons ago. He made his run on All-Pro with this quarterback. Last year he was without the quarterback. Now we're back on All-Pro and he has his quarterback back. That's going to be dangerous.
I feel like y'all didn't tell me any time here, but the Steelers have been here for quite some time. I'm gonna advance it because I did the whole XP and we're still in the Steelers. So, Penguins, if you're here, you missed it, brother.
For me, that question, I'm going to do one from each conference. I think in the NFC, I'm going to pick the Giants. We saw what he did on All-Pro, and we're going back to All-Pro. Bill's a fantastic schemer, runs the ball, plays defense as good as almost anybody. He's got a great receiver in Malik Neighbors. So, real good secondary. I think he's someone who could make a run. And then in the AFC, I like what the Bengals are doing in this draft. He's a great player. He's got a heck of an offense. So I kind of lean there. I'm interested to see how that division is going to shake out. After the Super Bowl, I was kind of thinking, Nips might unplug a little bit, but he seems to be pretty checked in still. And we know with locked-in Nips is as good as anybody.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to get over that hump of winning the big game yet, but he certainly, if he stays locked, I think he'll still be there. But I like the Bengals. I think they're a dark horse to kind of give him a run for his money because they got an offense that could be with anybody.
I also think it's going to be interesting to see how some of these teams respond that had success on All Madden. And I'm going to just say, the Jets, he had his best season when we switched to All Madden. The Chargers, they had a pretty strong season. And when he was playing well on All Pro, but he had a really good year on All Madden. 30 seconds. I think on the flip side of things, the Bears, the Colts, how do they respond? But then on the flip side of things, some of the teams that had really good success on All Pro and not as much on All Madden would be teams like the Niners, the Giants, the Titans, the Patriots. I think those couple teams had really good seasons when it was All Pro. And then when we went to All Madden, there was other factors like a quarterback got hurt. Things in life. Like we mentioned with Kobe, D-Money's dealing with a newborn baby, that kind of stuff. But it was just different to see the success that those teams had on All Pro when we switched to All Madden. they didn't have as strong of a season, but other teams, like I mentioned, with the Bears, the Jets, the Ravens, the Colts, they had the Chargers, they had stronger seasons. So how does that play back now that we're going back to All-Pro?
Yeah. Falcons are another team that are intriguing to me. We've seen what he did with the Jacksonville Jaguars when we were on All-Pro. It's a very good team builder. He knows how to scheme his trades and his free agent signings and his rookies to like fit his own schemes and like really move pieces around to fit what he needs. They were one of the teams that gave the Panthers the biggest kind of run there in the NFC South. If the Panthers don't continue to take some steps forward, he was sort of as hit and miss, even though he had a really good playoffs. The Falcons can sort of take that from them, or not sort of, they can take that from them. Also interested in the Bucs, a much better team overall wise than his record has ever shown. It's a confidence thing issue with him, and maybe getting, Olave is going to help with that. Maybe getting some of these high number 1 draft picks in every round, that will help with that. Maybe some of the money that he spent in free agency, but he starts out with 1 or 2 losses, it can snowball on him pretty quickly. But those are a couple other teams that are intriguing. Your Minnesota Vikings, for me, Big Hurt, intriguing team. You turn that team around so quickly in a short amount of time. I think you've had a much longer chance, a much longer runway to get that team to fit your scheme. I'm very interested to see what you can do there in the NFC North, a team that is not lacking for any type of confidence at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think I gained some traction after I put a little bit of time in. I was frustrated with the All Madden early on, just because I hadn't played on it, and then I was struggling with certain things. But and you're gonna hear my son screaming. But my new dog, I got a Bernedoodle. He's 110 pounds, and he just knocked my son over.
I also heard Bluey in the background. that is my ears perk up when I hear Bluey. I'm like, is my granddaughter around? Are we watching Bluey? Because I enjoy Bluey.
Yeah, Bluey is the only show. If you ask him what he wants to watch, he's gonna tell you Bluey. We almost have to tell him, well, let's watch something else, because we've watched like about 17 episodes of Bluey.
Listen,
and it's just like,
I'll watch Bluey without her being around. I'm a Bluey fan. I feel like we've been here on Nips for quite some time. Are we still taking time on me?
He's got 25 seconds here, and then we're going to switch over at the Bears. We're going to a 1 minute clock.
Yeah, 1 minute clock after that.
15 seconds here.
I have a feel. Oh, no, he's picked. Thank you, Nips. I thought you were not around. All right, we're going 1 minute as we start the 4th round. Finish your thought there.
Yeah, I just think that it'll be. I'm just trying to go back. We got sidetracked with Bluey there. But yeah, I guess, I mean, my biggest thing is just kind of seeing how things play out now that we're going back to All Pro. And then with my team, 30 seconds. I think it's going to be interesting because, like, the Bears have a really strong team. Do they play the same? Does Colin play the same when we go back to All Pro? Tim had success on All Pro. And then Priest. I just never know what to expect from Priest. I know the confidence is there, and then it's just like 6-0. We've seen it a couple times, and then all of a sudden it's like 9-6-9 or whatever, something crazy. And I think it's I don't know. But I think the NFC North is wide open. I'm interested to see how it plays out because we had 3 teams at 10-7 last year, and but I think there's a lot of divisions that are in the same boat. Your NFC South is in the same one. The AFC North is in the same boat. The AFC East can kind of be in that same boat because Maniac has had a lot of success. The Jets kind of figured it out. Massimo's made some big moves in this offseason. And then again, we've mentioned a few times the Patriots. They bring back their quarterback, had success on All Pro. That'd be a fun division. Trey jumping in with Bill and D. Wayne in the NFC East, there's going to be a lot of divisions that are going to be in that. I think 3 teams competing for playoff spots, and how that plays and shakes out is going to be interesting.
One thing I wanted to mention,
so you guys
on
take
here,
over.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention on here. I always like to give shout outs to Roger. I think he's always, almost every season, a better player than his record shows. Kind of like how Nate was talking about with Kevin. I know it's a little different, but that dude is a fantastic player and just can never seem to get it quite figured out. So I always kind of keep my eye on him. Nysonger's been texting me a bit, telling me that he's coming for the crown at the AFC South, so I'm very interested to see if that's going to come to fruition there. So it'll be a lot of fun there, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think if there was an award for kind of like the Walter Payton Award or something like that, it'd be hard not to have Roger in the talks for that. That dude, class act, board member, plays his games, communicates in the chat, plays with FPR, little to no violations from what I ever see. It's just, again, class act, like Walter Payton Award, whatever you want to call it. He would have to be in the conversation year in and year out.
100%. He takes the free safety. Roger grabs the corner. How are you liking your draft so far?
Nate's on another pick right now. I think he'll be able to talk to us here in a second.
For sure. Were there any trades that happened that stuck out to you? Goodness, I couldn't talk.
I honestly didn't get to see many of the trades, to be honest. The one trade that I did see was simply the Jets traded their first round pick. Hold on a second.
No, you're good. One of the trades that stuck out to me while the others are busy. Cowboys grabbing Chris Jones. That's a little scary. Can't even lie. There was the Niners got like a first and a second for Sergio Scarborough, or they acquired a first and a second. They traded away a running back Scarborough and then a corner Caleb Farley to the Jags. I made a couple. Nate made a couple. Joe Alt over to the Texans was a big one.
Yeah, the Jets traded their 26th pick to the Commanders. The Commanders drafted that running back that I really like. But they got Gabe Leverett, who is like high 80s safety. So that adds to that secondary that the Jets have already. Also, I want to say, what was another one that I think you mentioned? What was the one that was Scarborough?
Oh, yeah, the 49ers sent Sergio Scarborough and Caleb Farley to the Jaguars for their first and second round pick.
Yeah, so I think Scarborough is a running back that I actually really wanted to draft, and D-Money sniped him and took him right out from underneath me right before, like 2 picks before I was going to get him. With that being said, I think that was a huge pickup for Nysonger, because it seems like he could be an all-around back if used and developed. And I think D-Money just didn't really have the chance to use him the way he planned last season. So moving him, it'll be interesting to see. But I also like the trade that you made with the Bills, picking up Dalton Kincaid. That gives you another weapon, and from a tight end perspective, Dalton Kincaid is a really athletic and difficult matchup. So I like that pickup for you. That's another trade that I think would be really big.
Another one I saw was, go ahead.
Chris Jones to the Cowboys. I know Chris Jones is older, but Chris Jones going to the Cowboys is kind of hard to see just because the way Dwayne plays, giving him like an elite interior player like Chris Jones could be really hard to watch. I guess the rich get richer in a way. But that division, like every team is really loaded on the front end with their defensive like front sevens. I think Bill has built a really stout front seven. Dwayne usually always has, but also plays really at a high level with the linebackers.
Are we still taking time?
Yeah. Yep.
Just make sure.
Yep. We're at 30 seconds right now with him. So then I think the Commanders, like Trey's going to build a pretty strong team and play at a high level there with that division as well. And like Twinkie, like we've mentioned a million times, like he's always there and like it just loses games. Love to know how many one-score games Twinkie's been in a cycle. I bet you obviously his record's not good, but if you took out those one-score games, like I bet you his record could be, if you added a touchdown on to the Eagles score, he would probably have 11, 12 wins every year. He seems to always be within like a one-score game.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to mention, we're talking about Chris Jones of the Cowboys. Does that make it back-to-back years where the Chiefs make the best team, one of the best teams, even better when he gave Pacheco to the Niners last cycle? Now he's giving the Cowboys Chris Jones. I mean, I'm just giving him crap because he's my cousin. I think that's interesting. The rich get richer there. But if one of those guys hits you up,
what are you doing?
If one of those guys hits you up for anything, you probably just need to ignore the message because you're about to get robbed. So
D-Wayne's a pretty even trader. Now, D-Money, I can tell you right now, the second his message pops up, you guys should just know that you're going to get it stuck in and you're not going to get a hug after. He's just going to leave. That guy's, he knows how to trade and he doesn't let up. Once he gets his eyes on something, he's going to find a way. Here's a team I want to talk about as the Browns and Mr. Denver are running out of time here. The Commanders. What are we expecting to see from the Commanders? Denver, I'm skipping, but
you heard me.
You go ahead, Big Hurt.
No, I was just letting them know it was time up. I didn't know if you heard me. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Commanders, like, I just don't know what to expect from them. Trey takes them over, and Trey knows how to build a good team. Tim's already said, now Tim is a Trey hugger, because Trey left Tim such an amazing team to keep running with. Now, that was last cycle, but, Trey is having a hell of a draft so far, a good offseason. Couldn't get rid of the quarterback, which was interesting to me because I thought that might be a quarterback that fits for him. And this is a tough cycle to find a quarterback. But what are we expecting to see from these Commanders?
For me, I played Trey. I think I was the last person to play Trey. He, in the week 18, he didn't make the playoffs. And that swagger, that Trey is still there. But he's really, really lacking in the wide receiver department.
Yeah.
And that running back he got looks great, but his receivers were pretty horrible. So there's been so much going on. I don't know if he's grabbed one or not, but I think remember back in those last cycle, he had Jameson Williams, that one big dude, I don't remember his name, but he was an absolute stud. Laporta was great for him. He had Gibbs in that power back Weaver. So I think he's on the way up. There's just so much going on. I'm not sure, but I know receiver's a big thing for him to upgrade. I also know that he's not in love with Jaden Daniels. He's been trying to trade him. I asked him about it. Not because I wanted him, but I was just curious. He was like, well, I started Kenny Pickett, and he played better than Jaden Daniels. I was like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Because he loves that mobile, fast, small quarterback. I mean, that's what he did with Hendon Hooker. He turned Hendon Hooker into Mike Vick. So I'm curious how we can't get Jaden Daniels why he can't figure that out. But I think he's trending up for sure.
10 seconds. I think Trey is got the squad that he is just trying to flip it, and he knows that he could flip it as fast as possible as to trade a guy like Jaden Daniels, because you're going to reap the benefits of getting as much in return. He doesn't have the roster to compete with a Dwayne or a Bill at the moment. From a play caller owner perspective, he's definitely there, but he doesn't have the roster. And I think, if I recall, Shiloh Bad, we're at 30 seconds. Oh, it's Nate, your pick.
Yeah,
you take your time.
I'm trying to do it right now.
Nope, you're good. I forgot it was you. You got all the time in the world. But for me, I think for better or for worse, I want to say it was Shiloh Bad or had the Commanders, and they were like one of 4 teams that didn't have a 90 overall or better player on their roster. I think I remember talking about that. And then it was Shiloh Bad left, Trey takes over. And I think it takes time to build. And then also being in a division with Bill and Dwayne, the success to build those guys quick isn't going to be, an instant thing where you can come in and just be like, yeah, this is a winnable division right away. Like, I think it's a winnable division for Trey, but I think he needs to build the roster to compete. And so how do you do that? You trade a guy like Jaden Daniels, get as much in return, build it to his style. So I think that's what he was trying to do. Not that maybe he...
Bro, it just skipped
like
me.
I think the big thing is he played Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett was playing just as good. And so he's like, well, why keep this guy when I could just have other picks and build the team around Kenny Pickett?
Okay, pause. I think this clock is working, but it's not showing that it's working because it just freaking skipped me.
Wow. Was that a guy you were looking at least?
No. Don't even know who that is. Oh, my gosh. Oh well. Anyway, so Nate's going to start putting himself on the 1 minute clock because I'm going to have to stay ahead, and both of you should also be warned. There is no take your time. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think he does have an asset, and he knows how to flip that asset as Big Hurt makes his pick, and then we're over to the Bills, who are, I think, is making his last pick, and then Titans skip the Seahawks and the Steelers. Here's another team that I want to spend some time talking about. We know that Trey knows how to build a team. Well, another guy that knows how to build a really good team, but hasn't quite found his stride, even with the franchise quarterback, the Miami Dolphins. He went defense heavy, at least from what I'm recalling. I remember, right, he picked some cornerbacks and whatnot. What's it going to take for the Dolphins to turn some things around in an AFC that is figuring itself out? Some of the mainstay powerhouses have stepped sort of back. Some have stepped up, like the Bills, like the Titans, like the Steelers starting to win some games, the Chargers, and what Logan's been able to do. It is not an easy division to turn things around quickly, but the Dolphins seem to be behind the curve a little bit.
For me, when I was messing around with that playoff madness bracket thing, that was the hardest division for me to pick a winner for, because every single one of those guys is really good. But so far this cycle, Nassimo struggled the most. But he went and spent a lot of money in free agency, so I would expect him to turn things around a little bit. I haven't played him a ton, which is interesting because I've been in the AC, but we don't cross paths a lot. So I don't know as much about his game as other people, but I think he can make some noise. Him signing Crosby and the crap he's had can definitely be positive for him.
Ten seconds.
10 seconds, Mr. Maniac.
Did it let you see the player that it picked for you, or do you not even know?
No, I mean, it popped up like I see his name, but no, it popped up while I was in the screen looking at a couple of different guys.
So you didn't even see like his stats or nothing?
I didn't see anything at all.
That sucks.
Yep, it sucks, but it is what it is. I try not to get too caught up in these things. You get kind of in the heat of the moment, but at the end of the day, I know who my playmakers are, and I got to go make plays. And you can have all the great players you want. I have drafted terrible. Ultimately, you just still got to go make plays. You got to call the right plays and pick the right plays and make the right decisions. Yeah, Koch, I appreciate that, buddy. My buddy, Crazy's got a lot going on, and I understand that, but I don't know how many times you got to tag not at draft. Please let us know. I try not to be annoyed by little things, but it is the little things when they're over communicated and still don't get followed up on that annoy me. Not with him though. I understand he's got his whole life has been turned upside down. So we're gonna skip the Panthers next, and then I think we skipped the Jets. Yeah, we're gonna skip the Jets, so we'll be over to the 49ers, and then we're gonna have a run of skips here towards the end. We'll let Mr. Nips make his play, I guess, if he's around, but he hasn't been the last couple picks.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, Mr. Steelers. Speaking of the Steelers, let's talk about his team for a little bit. What's it going to take for Penguins to build those Steelers up? He went out, made some big-time trades last season, had I thought a couple of really good drafts, but hasn't really turned the corner at all.
Titans just said in the chat that they're done drafting for the night as well.
Ooh, barely got that in. I was just about to press it.
Looking at the Steelers roster currently, I was just glancing through it before I talked. He only has 3 wide receivers on his roster, 2 of which are very good, but you got to have at least 5. So that's something there. I don't love his running back situation. Kyron Williams is good. He's not great. But he's a sneaky, I don't know if I could say sneaky, but when I first joined, he didn't win as much, and he's been really getting it together past few seasons. Done really well over in the Deuce College League as well. So he's a fantastic player.
It's your pick, buddy. I don't want you to get left behind there.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't checked out his team. I know that he is a great defensive builder. He leads with the defense, but he has before in the past put together really good offenses. Now, I know like some other people here, last season was maybe one of personal sort of challenges that had to be overcome. This season hopefully is a bit more stable and he'll be able to focus. But the AFC is teeming with talent. Coach talent. I feel like the coach talent is more spread. 10 seconds here. Well, it's the Colts, so we'll give them a little bit longer, but that clock might be ticking without our control. I would say that the coach talent seems the most spread out that we've ever seen. If we skip Nipples here, I'm telling you, Nips, I'm putting you on the list to skip. I think okay. All right. There you go, Nips. We're going to skip Chicago, and we're off into the 5th round here. Most teaming with talent is really in the AFC, so I'm interested to see what happens there. We're going to start taking some call-ins now, so if you're interested in being on the show and being interviewed by us 3, do me a favor, come jump into the chat. I'm just going to randomly call. Come into here muted. I'll call on you. I'll have you unmute. We'll all 3 of us ask you a handful of questions, and we'll finish out these last 3 rounds with style as we take on some interviews. Just jump into the OMFL voice chat. You can do that on PlayStation. You can do that on your phone. You can do that on the app, on your computer, a variety of different ways that you can do that. I'll try to keep an eye on the voice chat, but I am trying to bounce around through all the different things that we got to skip and not skip. Looks like, Tim, you're going to be up first here in just a second. Gonna make sure you got 10 seconds, Mr. Kev, and then we're gonna skip. I want to make my next pick, and then we'll interview Mr. Tim, and then we'll start rolling through some interviews here. Skipping you. That one hurt a little bit. AJ Caldwell, he's going to go over to Tampa Bay. So we got the Raiders, then we're going to skip both the Eagles, Rams. I will make my pick, and then we will interview Mr. Tim. Here we go. Let me skip ahead. Let me go make my pick. You guys talk.
Randy, how are you feeling about the AFC and the NFC powers, like compared to what they've been in the past? Obviously, with Colin winning the bowl game this year in the NFC, do you feel like the NFC has balanced that? Because I know at one point the AFC was kind of holding the powers of between the two conferences.
So I think that's an interesting question, and I want to look at it not through the glasses of an AFC owner, but it's hard not to. I think as an entire 16 teams in each, I think the AFC is deeper, but I think the NFC is a little bit more dangerous at the top, if that makes sense. Is the way I kind of put it. I definitely was absolutely shocked by the run Colin went on, and all the props in the world to him. But it was very cool to watch a game that was between two guys who hadn't won one, and it was a classic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the whole thing that made it was two guys, class acts, but they also, made their runs. I think obviously Nipple had more of a run throughout the season, going 15-2, but then into the playoffs and then all the way to the bowl game. But Colin caught fire and kept that all the way through, and I think it was like week 9 or 10. He only lost one game, and so that stretch. But he had the team to do it. Colin's capable of doing it. But the thing that sold it for me was both guys have never won it, so it was nice to see. Again, talking about parity and how it's been at its highest, I'm a firm believer that we had two guys there that I don't think you could have said, okay, Mipple might make it, but like having those two where it wasn't a D Money or a D Wayne or a Kobe or somebody that's just been there consistently multiple times. So it was nice to see that.
All right, let's bring in our first guest of the night, Mr. Tim. You can unmute Timothy of the Detroit Lions, his hometown team, a team that we've seen sort of go on a bit of a roller coaster last year, but went on a heck of a run right there at the end and just came up a little short. Tim, welcome to the show. How was season 113 for you as their coach?
How's it going, guys? You guys are doing an awesome job with this glitch and the manual clock and everything. I just want to give a shout out to you guys for making it work no matter what obstacles are thrown our way. Season 113 was a challenge. It was definitely one where I went from being the hunter to the hunted, as I said, getting a first place schedule, tough opponents. I think I did pretty well with the cards I was given. Had some unfortunate injuries that really hurt my team's chances during the season. Laporta got off for half the season in week 1, and about a quarter into the season, I lost Brian Robinson Jr. for the rest of the season. So those definitely hurt me big time. And I apologize for anybody that had Laporta on their fantasy football team, so I let them down.
I am the kiss of death to fantasy football players. If I pick them, they're probably going to get injured here. 10 seconds for you, Mr. Denver. I think we might have skipped Denver last time. So no wonder, Denver, are you around? Tim, let's talk about the season 114 as we move into it. What did you try to accomplish this offseason when it came to free agency and re-signing players?
Keep everybody. I had a hard enough time keeping the core players I had. Entering the last chance to re-sign, I still had Hutchinson and Brian Branch left to go. And there was no way in hell I was going to let those guys go into the free agency. unfortunately, I had to make during the season. I had to make the difficult decision of trading Frank Ragnow, and it turned out to be a good move because after paying Hutchinson and Branch, I had no money left. I think I even texted you on a trade idea we had, Nate, and I said, I'm broke. I got nothing. The right move was made by getting rid of a player that Ragnar was 30. He was on the way regression, and replenishing him with the offensive line. And that's exactly the position we addressed this draft in the early rounds.
It is your pick, and I do not want anything to skip, so feel free to go take your time, and we'll wait for you to get back here. While he's making his pick, I'll run through a few picks here. Now, Springs, tight end, goes over to the Packers. Bruce, wide receiver, to the Browns. Tiller, wide receiver, to the Chiefs. Capers, left end, to the Falcons. Wilkerson, free safety, over to the Cards. Rose, tight end, over to the Giants. And our do not draft anymore list is growing larger. Cowboys, Eagles, Panthers, Seahawks, Falcons, Jaguars, Broncos, Bucks, Bills, Jets, Pats, Bears, Rams, Titans, Giants. Whew, my goodness, quite the list there. DJ Hewitt, wide receivers, going over to the Lions. And as we skip some more, I want to turn it over to these fellas. Fellas, what questions do you have for our buddy, Mr. Tim?
Randy, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Sounds good. What's up, Tim? I hope you're doing well. My initial question for you would be, you kind of said it yourself. You went from the hunter to the hunted, and you still went to playoffs. You had a good season, but I think you probably wanted a bit more. What's your mindset now that Colin is not only the hunted in the North, but the hunted in the entire OMFL? How do you process that? What's your mindset there?
I blew it last season. To put it mildly, I had the division title in my grasp, and I let it slip through my fingers. Three-way tie between 10 and 7 record between the Bears, the Vikes, and me, and I was the third place team based on that. I had the chance to win it outright, and I blew it. So my mindset is to keep the confidence going that I had when I won the division, when I take no prisoners attitude, and just keep going full throttle. This is going to be this is a fun division with the Bears, the Vikings, and the Packers. We're going back to the old black and blue NFC North Norris division, and we're going to it's going to be a fun one to see how that turns out.
I can't be it for our guy Tim. We got to have more questions than that, huh?
Yeah. No, I asked him. I was letting somebody else go, but I can fire up a couple more. So do you think for you, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, do you think you're the kind of player that you do better with all pro or all Madden? Do you think it's going to matter for you? Do you not really care about that? What do you think about that?
It was little things that I noticed a difference on all pro and all Madden. Plays that were open on all pro were not open on all Madden, and I had to get a little adjustment to that. But when it came down to it, it felt smooth. It felt realistic. Games were close. And a lot of the games were, if you look at it, there were one-score games that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we want in the league.
Amen, brother.
I fully agree with you.
That's it. Come on, guys.
Big Hurt, what you got for our guy Tim?
Don't hold back. Big Hurt.
The most trash-talking division in all of the OMFL.
I think we've had our moments where we look forward to playing each other. I think just out of curiosity, with Colin being the defending champion, are you looking forward to playing him most, or are you looking forward to playing Priest or I most in division at the moment?
First off, I want to shout out to Colin. Colin did an amazing run in the playoffs. he deserved everything, all the accolades and the pomp and circumstances he got. He did an outstanding job in the playoffs and deserved the win. But I play him week 1, and we're looking to make a statement on week 1. And we're coming to his house, and we don't care if it's ring night or banner night or all that pomp and circumstance. When that whistle goes, we're gonna pop him in the face. We're gonna bite kneecaps, as Dan Campbell would say.
Big statement there. Must see
Very big
TV.
statement. Might have to get Nate to send me a graphic. We can announce that game or something. But anyways,
Yeah, that'd be great.
the other thing I was going to ask is, I noticed you had mentioned, the contracts and a few things that you've got going on with your team this year. What is the one thing for this season now that you've made it past re-signing some of those guys? Do you see any big challenges coming up post-draft going into season 114 roster-wise that you need to basically settle up for, I guess the rest of this Madden cycle? Is there any big challenges, roadblocks, or anything like that you see coming up?
Excellent question. I'm glad you asked it. I have something that Nate said. I was gift wrapped an awesome team by Trey when there. And I have a couple imports that he drafted that are going to go into the OMFL Hall of Fame. Like Bruce Ross, the linebacker, for example.
Yeah.
This will be his last cycle. The trick is not only to keep my guys, draft guys to replace the holes I have, but to think about the imports of next Madden. Like, for example, the last draft I drafted linebacker Michael Phillips. Phillips was drafted in the mindset that Ross is gone. Who's going to take the reins as the top linebacker imported? And that's the mold. Now, my plan this draft was to draft a CB, but at pick 19, my God, how many were gone off the board?
Yeah.
I had to go to plan D on everything and scrap all my plans, but we're going to make it work. We're going to find a way, as we always do. But yeah, it's very tricky to keep your core together, and also we're looking for imports so that the core keeps going in the next Madden.
One more question,
Absolutely.
and let's get our buddy out of here. He's been with us for a whole round, and here soon it's going to be his pick again, so I want to give him a chance to think. What do we expect from the mighty Detroit Lions up in Motortown, USA for season 114?
We're gonna compete. I mean, I could easily say I'm the Kings of the North right there, but this is a hard division, and you got to earn it. And Colin won it last year. Big Hurt, you're more than capable of winning it. If Priest continues to have success like he did at the beginning of the whole season, he can win the division. It's anybody's guess who's win the division, and we'll just got to get your popcorn and see how the division unfolds.
And Tim, I appreciate you making time to come and be with us, buddy.
10
Good luck
seconds.
to your Lions. 10 seconds for you, Mr. Why am I drawing a blank on your name? Kansas City. I was trying to think of the basketball player. He goes by him too. Tim, I appreciate you, buddy. Always keeping an eye out for your content. I appreciate you doing that. Can't wait to see what your Lions do, bud. Good luck in season 114.
Thanks, guys.
There
Good
you
luck,
have it.
Tim.
Mr. Tim of the Detroit Lions. Up next is his good buddy, Mr. Nicesonger of the Jags. And boy, we got some bones to pick with that fella drafting with the evil D-Money. How dare you do that? Mr. Nicesonger of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hope you're with us. If you are, go ahead and unmute. Welcome to the show, man. And tell me, what did you think about your Jaguars for season 113?
I think that Justin Fields has some major fumbling issues. Got on a run, beat Denbrew and Bill back-to-back weeks, and then I think I had like 6 fumbles on sacks with Justin Fields, and it kind of derailed over the next few weeks, and then it kind of derailed the momentum I had built beating those two guys.
Luca, that was it, James. I don't know why. I just couldn't think of that at all. Well, Nicesonger, I know my buddy here is going to be coming up with a pick. Bronco Man went on mute. He's cooking supper. Everybody's busy. We're getting it done. The real life does not stop just because the OMFL is trucking along. Let's talk about your offseason. What were some of the main things that you wanted to accomplish as you went into re-signs and free agency?
Well, I knew I needed to beef up my defensive line. I was getting gashed in the running game bad. Also, my secondary was getting kind of slow with Lattimore getting older in age. He was starting to slow down. The regression was hitting him hard. He went from a 90 speed this offseason to an 84 speed. I couldn't trust him on the outside anymore, so I had to get rid of him. The biggest need for me was corner, and I had some people picked out. Got told that I was going to be brought in to do some training for coordinator stuff at work early, so I had to pivot from what I was originally going to do to get the guys I needed, which is where the trade with D-Money came in, because I needed a running back that had some speed, needed a cornerback with some speed. You got that huge receiver that Bronco Man's got, and then you got Brandon DeMarco. I needed that speed on the outside, and now from the trades with you, Nate, and D-Money, I have cornerbacks at 94, 95 speed, above 6 foot tall to try to guard those guys.
Well, welcome to regression on the one you got from D-Money. If he even plays for you at that injury rating, you really took it on the chin with that trade. I don't think you checked that guy out as much as maybe you should have. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my buddies here and let them ask you a few questions.
Mr. Nicesonger, the other Randy, whatever you want to call it.
10 seconds.
Hope you're doing well. It's been fun chatting with you, getting to talk about both of our teams. What do you think for you is like, if this clicks, I'm going to be a danger this season? Like, where for you is that switch or that area of your team where if it doesn't need to do, you're going to be one to watch out for?
I would say it's my running game. If I can get my running game moving and going, I feel that I can compete with anybody. When I won those couple games against Denbrew and Bill, I had over 100 yards rushing, opened up the play action pass, which worked out really good because I didn't have like a 99 burst guy. But it's definitely my running game, and that's why I went out and I needed a speed back. I have Harris, who's great if you're just trying to pound 3-4 yards out up the middle, but every once in a while you need somebody who can bust it out and take it to the house. I just didn't have that speed to do so.
Definitely. Hurt, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to make my pick.
Nicesonger, how's it going, my friend?
Going.
So, I got a couple questions for you. One, season 1, without your Minnesota Vikings as your favorite team in real life, you took over the Jags. Do you feel like the reason you had moved over was to not be stuck with like kind of your favorite team making hard decisions? Do you feel like that has been true, or do you feel like you kind of look back and you're like, oh, I should have stuck it out with the Vikings?
I feel much more comfortable making the trades. Like I traded away Jeremiah Okusamora, great linebacker, not real old, but didn't really fit the team. So I needed to move away from it. It made it a lot easier. There's people that I've seen that you've cut, and I was like, oh God, why do you do that? Because in real life, they're a lot better than what they are in Madden. Like Blake Cashman, he's a lot better in real life than he is in Madden. He's not a great Madden player, but a great. And I couldn't separate that, and it really made it hard to compete with Tim and Colin, and because I have fan syndrome. I'm a true fan of Minnesota. I couldn't let them go. And now that I've been in Jacksonville, I mean, I think he was like an 88 or 89 overall. Great player, but just didn't fit what I was trying to do. and so I moved him. Moved Devin Lloyd into the middle linebacker spot. Went to a true 3-4. Was able to move Tavon Walker out to the outside linebacker, so that I have that true 3-4 defense to run. Beefed up the defensive line. Actually took some advice you gave me and moved pieces around that, so that now I have some beef on that down 3.
I think all the teams, or every owner, I should say, in any Madden or in real life, you go into an offseason, you have a plan, you try and execute that plan. Give me your personal grade. Do you feel like you executed that and you like gave yourself, an A grade? Hey, I'm passed. I nailed it. I did what I needed to do, but really missed on a few things, or it was a complete just epic fail. I missed, and I wish I would have hit on a few other free agents, or, give me kind of your feedback on this offseason.
I would say it's about a B-. I had my eyes on Forbes, the running back. I was going to try to draft him at the top of the second round. He went in the first round. I was going to draft a corner in the first round. But with having to be into work a few hours early to learn coordinator stuff, I was not sure that I was going to be able to make picks, which with the pause draft starting when it did, I would have been able to. I'd have been able to make my pick at 5, but it is what it is. Hindsight's 20/20. I feel kind of confident with what I've got. I do still have Harris, so if Scarborough gets hurt, it's not going to be a big deal. And so I'd say like a B-.
Okay. My last question to wrap it up is, you open up the season on the road against the Cardinals, and then, looking at your schedule here, you got some games that I'm interested to see, but we also noticed you and I are up in preseason week 1, so if you're interested in playing that game, let me know. But just give me your overall thoughts on the season, what you expect, and kind of an early projection and how you feel like this season's going to pan out for you.
I think we're going to be hanging the AFC South championship banner in the ball.
Old. All right.
Mr. Bronco Man, any other questions for our guy Nicelonger before I get to my last one?
Yeah, so I was going to mention that. You've told me a couple times in DMs, you said it either on Nate's stream or on my stream, I can't remember, but you've been adamant that that's what you're going to do is win that title. You said that running game. What do you think is going to be the key for you in terms of getting that done? Is that defense playing stellar? Is that winning the close games? What does that look like for you?
Winning close. It's a combination of 3 things. You got old school football. Need that running game to kick. Need the defense to be able to stop people. Those 2 things, and then keeping games close. Especially with you and Roger and Kobe. Wow, I was drawing a blank on his name. But especially with you guys, like from playing each other twice a year, the game plans change. So it's not only do I need to have my defense and my running game playing good, I have to have my mind in that. That you guys aren't going to play the same way each time, and that hurt me with Kobe. When I played him the first game, I kept that close. I played my butt off. It was a real tight game. And then the second game, I got blown out because I was thinking, he's going to play the same way, and I didn't adjust that. And this season, I'm going into it with a different mindset where I know you guys are going to be changing things up, and I'm ready for it. And I feel that with the additions I made on my secondary and in my running back room, that I should be able to slow you guys down enough to be able to keep the games close, and fourth quarter will win the game.
30 seconds.
I wish you all the luck in the world on that. I look forward to our matchups. I know I briefly looked at my schedule. I got the first place schedule, so that's my own fault for doing that. But we don't play till after the bye week for me at least. So it'll be it'll be a minute before we get to see our new teams. But I wish you all the luck in the world.
You too, man.
Nice, Songer. Before you get out of here, I got another question for you. First, I'd say Kobe is not the name I want to not draw a blank on. That's a guy that will use that for bulletin board material. Nice, Songer. What do we expect from your Jaguars? You've already said you're winning the AFC. Tell me some other facts that we are going to see from the Jaguars in season 114.
Scarborough to lead the NFL in rushing yards.
What's this NFL you speak of? I don't know what this is. You mean the OMFL?
I
got you.
Watching my ticker for free agency still.
There you heard it. Nice, Songer, man. I'm pulling for you, bud. Good luck with Taylor over there and these other guys that you have pulled away from. If D-Money wins the championship, just go ahead and let that be your 2-week notice, and we will fulfill your team with somebody else. I appreciate you, man. Good luck in season 114.
Thanks. You guys have good luck to you guys too.
There you have it, Mrs. Nice Songer. One of the nicest dudes. Like I've come to really appreciate and like him a lot. Yeah, just a good human. I think everybody here is a good human. Just doesn't always act like a good human. I think we get real caught up in the competitiveness of basically adult play dolls, and we just sort of get lost in the sauce sometimes. So but this guy is just always humble, always sweet and kind, and I've really come to enjoy getting to know Nice Songer. We're at the end of this thing, man. This thing's been a little over 2 hours. The engagement has sucked, but it is what it is. So we will take any last interviews. All you gotta do is jump in the OMFL voice chat on PlayStation, on your phone, on the computer app, whatever. It's easy, cheesy. I'm gonna interview these two guys before we get out of here. I will lay out the schedule of what's to come. And fellas, we're going to be in the eve of season 114 tonight. A Sunday draft started an hour early with, on record, the fastest offseason we've ever had in the OMFL. Is that a big W or a big L for us? It feels a little bit of both.
I think it's
feel like...
Go ahead, Herb.
I feel like it's a big... No, you're good. I feel like it's a big W. I know once we get to playing games and stuff, and then you take the time for the playoffs, those who didn't make the playoffs or those who lose early in the playoffs, it's kind of just like, all right, I'm itching to get back to playing and start and have new hope. So I think like that aspect, it's a big W. I think there's only so much because of what EA offers. There's only so much draft prep that you can do and whatnot. So there's time-wise, and free agency is, as long as everybody has a chance to log on and be able to bid, it is, you don't need to have like an extended long period of time in my eyes. So I don't mind the quick turnaround. I'm getting back to playing games and building this team and having fun with you guys.
It's about to be Nice Songer's pick. I meant to say this while Randy makes his pick here in just a few seconds. And then we're going to interview D-Money. I appreciate him popping in here. Somewhere in New York, one of Bill's nipples got hard whenever Big Hurt started to schedule live and in person before we even got there. I know that made Bill very happy to hear somewhere on this planet. We're going to let the Colts get his pick in. Then I want to hear his take on whether this quick offseason was a big L or a big dub, and then we're going to go ahead and bring on D-Money and interview him, and then I'm going to interview both of you, and then we're going to get off into this thing and have a good time. So, Randy, finish that thought, bud.
I enjoyed the quick off season. Like Hurt was mentioning, if you missed the playoffs or you're an early exit, it can certainly be a long time. I mean, I was the runner-up in the AFC, and my AFC title game was a week ago. It was Sunday night last week, so that feels like it was a month ago now. So I'm excited to get back into it. I think for the most part it went well. We had that.
Can I
little
get you to
hiccup
pause
with-
really fast? I apologize, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and skip this, and we're going to find out all together. Hold your breaths. If this thing is going to either glitch and restart this whole draft, or it's going to send us off into the next season. We're going to find out together here, y'all.
Fingers crossed.
This one hurts. Oh, look at us. We are off into the recap. Let me get this thing. You can go ahead and finish that thought. We survived.
Yeah, for sure. But just real quick, I think it was, we had that little hiccup with the situation with the, why am I drawing a blank here? People started bidding before they should have, and people just kind of, like I was saying, it's copycat league. I saw people bid, so I started bidding before there was an announcement. So, but other than that, I think it went well. So I enjoyed it personally.
Speaking of bidding, I think, Nate, we are not allowed to sign free agents right now, correct?
This is correct, but I will cover all of that thing here in just a second. Let me turn off injuries before I forget and get people to start yelling at me. Injuries are off. Progressive fatigue is off. Everything is off. We are good. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. D Money himself, a guy that owns a majority of the championships here in the 26-year history of the OMFL, owner of the 49ers, and a brand new, beautiful baby boy. D Money, welcome to the show, and tell me, what did you think about your team in season 113?
What's up, guys? Disappointing, I guess. 12 and 4 with a tie, and I lose in the divisional. So, I mean, overall, it was all right, but would have liked to at least try to make it to the conference championship.
What was the plan as you moved into re-signs and free agency? What was sort of the plan for your team? You've gathered a lot of assets. We've seen you move some of those assets. What was the vision behind this early stage of the offseason?
Just to get like some solid backups. Starter wise, I'm pretty set everywhere. I would have liked to bolster the old line a little bit. So when Nicelonger sent me that trade offer, there was zero haggling. I hadn't scouted yet, but the top 5 pick, there's always going to be, a couple really good wide receivers or O-line or, something. And we make the deal. I scout later, and it was really weak. So that was a little disappointing, but like I think Maniac said, D tackle and corner were really strong. And when in doubt, I'm going to draft a corner, because if I don't use them, I'll build them up, and you're never going to be hard pressed finding someone who wants to trade for one. So,
fellas, what questions do you have for the man, the myth, the legend, D Money?
I'm going to jump on this just because it's something you just said. You're going to build them up and then trade them. How do you continue to build 6, 7, 8 cornerbacks in a roster? I can't even play that many.
I mean, I do it throughout the cycle. So I've got like my top, maybe I guess 3 or 4 guys. I always import, at least 2. So pretty set there. And then my first couple drafts, I'll take them. You do the focus training and all that, and the incentives, I pour a lot of those into corners. And then, like I said, start using them, or like I dealt from my stable of corners with Nicelonger. It's a lot of resources that goes into it. And I've said before, like, I'm addicted. So that's never going to change.
If that's the worst addiction you got, then that is, not a bad thing. My second, so you said last year, you felt disappointment, didn't reach the conference championship. I know you and D Wayne have had your fair share of battles, regular season, playoffs, NFC championship. Do you feel like that's something that's on the radar for this season 114? Do you feel like, I mean, obviously, as kind of a second part of that question, do you feel like that's part of it because you're back on All Pro, or does that not matter?
No, I mean, I think I play the same All Pro or All Madden. But yeah, Dwayne and I usually have some really good battles, but I haven't been able to get there because I think I lost to Bill in the conference championship, and Bill beat Dwayne, and then Colin just beat me, and so I didn't get to Dwayne. But that'd be fun. We always have some really good games, so I hope we can get there.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle for season 114 in your team? Is it a position group that you need to improve? Is it a roster hole, or you might have the piece, he's just not quite built up, or do you have an absolute hole on your roster somewhere, or do you feel like it's an opponent that's standing in your way? What's that biggest obstacle for D Money, if there is any obstacle?
No, running the ball. I've always kind of been like Dwayne, run first, but this whole cycle I've been kind of pass happy for whatever reason. It feels like every game I get like 8 in the box and drop back in zone, so I want to try to make them pay, so I'm coming out throwing more and more and more, and just not having a lot of success on the ground, even though I've had some good running backs. O-line's decent, but it would be running the ball for sure. If I can get back to like last cycle where, I've got a lot of 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 5, I think that'd help a lot. Cause I've kind of struggled there.
So you say running the ball, and I guess my last part of the question then for me is it something that having success because of you just haven't found that success that you want, or is it kind of getting out of your own head and just sticking to the run game?
Both. I've tried to stick to it, and it just seems like I get stymied a lot. So I don't know.
I remember last cycle you had Pacheco, and it was just mind blowing the numbers that you were putting up with him at one point in time. I was like, and then you had the second running back was a Jordan Mason, or I don't know, somebody you had, and I was like, holy smokes, he's got 2 running backs that are producing the value of most 3 running backs in any other team, but if that's even possible. But yeah, I wish you'd been the best, man. I think you and I were talking in the DM at one point, and I have a lot of respect for you and your game. I hope that you are able to engage. I know how hard that is with a newborn and a child. You heard my kid in the background screaming because he got knocked over by the dog. That is the life of being a dad with trying to play games. So I get it. I understand. But I think, I've never shied away from playing D-Money at any point in time. I've always kind of enjoyed those just because you got to beat the best to be the best, and I know you're one of those in that top tier, so I always look forward to playing you when we get the opportunity. But I look forward to seeing you and trying to have the success that you have shown us time and time again that Nate has nightmares about.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Probably has that address memorized on hand off the top of his head by now.
There's a lot of not memorized, but saved information on the computer. We'll put it that way. Randy, what questions you got for our guy D-Money?
What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. First question I want to ask you, pivot a little bit. So when we talk about, we make jokes like, oh, don't listen to D-Money. Don't answer his DMs about trades, or
wait. Those are jokes?
Nah, yeah, I mean, they're like, haha, kind of jokes, but not really. Yeah. But anyway, so with that, and then you being one of the top dogs here, do you feel an added pressure to go out there and perform, especially in this cycle where you haven't got over that hump, or is it same mindset?
No pressure. Maybe a handful of years ago, but not now. It's just for fun. So, too early playoff exits, like a little disappointing, but yeah, I don't know, no pressure.
Cool.
He says years ago when he had like 6 straight OMFL bowls, and Nate was like, I'm just gonna start shipping them in quantity of like 3, so it's cheaper to ship. Yeah, that's when there was pressure.
Buy in bulk.
Yeah. For you, You mentioned it, the run game for you is big to stick to. I think you got some good backs, but what would you say is like a position group that you need to see more from in order for you to get where you want to go?
The O-line. I guess in previous Maddens, I've always been fine with the high 70, low 80 overall. Maybe it's different in this version because, I don't know. Just like I said, had a hard time running the ball. It seems like I don't have a ton of time to pass. So, like I think I already said, when I traded for the 5th overall pick, I was hoping there'd be some stud O-lineman there, and it was, nobody worth that high of a pick. So, I've been focused training them, hoping they get a little bit better. But yeah, that'd be the position.
For sure. Yeah, the middle linemen, they don't progress. I mean, you can get a corner up, you can get a linebacker, receiver, whatever, but it's difficult with them. My last question would be for you. In your division in the NFC West, we haven't talked about it tonight, but I know in the past we've talked about Meek's a very talented player. He kind of sometimes, I don't want to say falls short, but he hasn't got over that hump yet. Do you think he is your top rival, or you got like a rivalry with Joker going on? How do you view your division? Meek usually takes me in the regular season, so he's always tough there. Joker's tough. I haven't got to play Crazy Man yet, I don't think. With I guess he's had a lot going on. So when we had Logan, that division was real tough. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely Meek has my number in the regular season. For sure. Well, I wish you all the luck. I'm going to turn it over to Nate or Hurt if they have any last questions for you.
Mr. D Money, it's always a pleasure, buddy. We get to talk from time to time. So I check in on the family, and you've had a hell of a couple of weeks here with the wife being gone. What do we expect from the 49ers? That feels like a loaded question, but what are you expecting from your 49ers for season 114?
I'd like to win the division again, and then make the conference championship. That'd be the goal.
There you go. Short, sweet, to the point. And a guy that we're looking for. I don't know why I just left it right here on Randy's photo the whole time I'm asking questions and Big Hurt's asking questions. But Randy, you got a lot of airtime, so I appreciate you, D Money. I'm not pulling for you. I got to be honest. I'm sick of sending you trophies and people complaining about how great you are, and everybody complains about how you get trades. I'm sick of all of it. Drives me nuts. But no, you're one of the better guys that we have here. I wish folks would just take time to get to know you a bit better. Pulling for you. Appreciate you. Looking forward to see what you do in season 114, bud.
Thanks, guys.
There you have it, Mr. D Money of the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let me interview both of you really quick, and then I'm going to announce the schedule, which has already been announced in chat if you're paying attention, and we're going to get everybody out of here. So, Big Hurt, what was your mindset for your Vikings? I know you two sort of talked. I heard you go back and forth a little bit when I was making picks, but what was the mindset as you moved into re-signs and free agency?
My mindset this offseason was to fill the holes that I had, to be able to compete and kind of get over that hump or that obstacle that I had of last year. I feel like I found some rhythm, some traction, but I knew that the big thing for me was I did not have any draft capital. So I had to really hit home in the free agency. And so I think I'm happy where I'm at, especially with the way the draft, the depth or the talent of the draft. I don't feel like I would have maybe benefited. It's always nice and fun to draft. This draft was probably a little, I enjoyed the show and everything, but I didn't really have much to draft. So it was kind of just drafting depth positions and not really anything else. But free agency, I felt like I did well. I got a couple guys that I really wanted. I missed on one, but it would have been a huge paycheck for Chris Olave. But I got Gabe Davis, and I think he'll complement Justin Jefferson well. and with the other 2 receivers I got. So excited to see that. But really just hoping that I can have the same type of success and be a little more consistent, not have such a slow start for this season.
What about you, Mr. Randy? What was your mindset going into re-signs and free agency?
I'd say the only part of the offseason that I'm happy with for the Colts was my re-signs. I got the guys back that I wanted to get back. I had a ton of money and threw the bag at everybody and didn't get a single one of them to sign. I don't know if it's nobody wants to play for Indiana, but the AFC South champs held no weight with those big negotiations. So that was a bit disappointing. And then with the draft, I made 2 trades that I was happy with. Alton Kincaid, we talked about earlier, me and her did from the Bills. And then I also got a corner and a running back from the Packers. So that was okay. The draft, I think I did what I could have done. I didn't have a ton of capital. I didn't have a pick until the end of the 2nd round. So I didn't have as much there. That's why I tried to spend so much in free agency. So it kind of left me scrambling a bit. But I got 2 trades left to try to mingle with people during the season. But I think for me, looking at my roster, I mean, I got an 84 overall team. It's not great. I don't exactly know how I went on the run I went on last year, but we're going to do our best to do it again. And I got a good core of players, but there's some position groups that are like, I'm starting low 70 overall guys. So
yeah, I feel that. I think I have the lowest overall team in Madden still. Mr. Big Herd, how'd you feel about the draft? It's over. We got through it. We survived. We made it work. How you feel about your team?
My team, I feel great. Draft-wise, like I said, I didn't have much to go into the draft. So, I mean, as far as the draft, I knew I was going to have a bad grade on that aspect. But I'll be honest, driving home after I got off work and I hear, oh, no, I was like, uh-oh. And then I hear, we've hit a draft glitch. I was like, no. But I feel like, like I said, as I was driving home, I was going to be home here briefly. And I set it in the car as I was about 5 minutes away from being home, as we always do in the OMFL, and as you always do, Nate. We always find a way, and we did. We just have to alter and fly by the seat of our pants, and we do that. And I think that's what makes this place special. And so, honestly, like going in, I was like, man, this is going to be like a 4 or 5 hour draft, doing a manual clock and just trying to get people to pick, and people complaining that their pick got simmed or something like that. But honestly, I feel like it went pretty smooth. So I'm happy with how things played out.
I agree with you. Mr. Randy, what about you? What do you feel about your team after this draft? How'd the draft go for you?
I got an O-lineman I like, and I got a corner I like. So I got 3 fast corners now. Some developmental pieces, or one of them's a developmental guy, but I feel good overall. I don't like my O-line. That's the only position where I'm like, I got one guy over an 80 there. The rest are mid to high 70s. So I don't love that. But I think for me, the key is I got weapons galore on offense, and it's a ton of fun. But I have to get where I want to go, I got to be safer with the ball. Granted, I know when I got to that title game, I kind of just started throwing stuff up. But I got in my own head a lot. I've tried to work on that, so that's one thing, just staying even keeled. Like, if I was in that Super Bowl and where Colin kept getting behind and stuff wasn't going his way, like, I would have lost it and lost by 30. Like, that's just my mindset I'm not mentally tough enough there. So working on that a bit, stay true to the run game, and just play my game.
What questions, Randy, do you have for Big Hurt?
Okay. I played you toward the end of the season. You got a great team. And I know, unfortunately for you, I think you probably would have went a little bit further had Jefferson not got hurt. Do you think, with Colin, you guys all finished the same record, but do you think, like, what do you think the key is to taking the crown for him?
Well, you mentioned part of it. Nick Sims, my rookie linebacker last year, that was an X factor. Missed, I think, 5 or 6 games, like week 12, week 11 to like almost the end of the year. And then Jefferson gets hurt misses the last 3-4 games, something like that, in the playoffs. So I think I hit a stretch where I was pretty consistent and having some success, and then boom, my two key guys, I think, Jefferson obviously on my offense, but like Nick Marshall kind of being in the middle of my defense. Dylan Marshall was a great corner, but obviously can only play like, the one side, lock up a receiver, whereas Nick Sims can cover that tight end, play the run game, play over the middle on the slants or drags, the deep digs or anything like that, and kind of just take away in between the hashes. So I think for me, one is to stay healthy. Two is to establish more of a run game. I struggled all of last season to run the ball to any type of success. And then I think Nate and I were talking in DM. I played him, and I had probably one of the roughest games running the ball numbers-wise, but I actually had success. But in my mind, like, it was just like battling, trying to get out of my own head and battle myself of being like, run the ball. You're having success. But like every game in and out, I would finish with like 35 to 45 yards rushing, and it was like 15, 20 attempts, and I'm averaging like less than 3 yards a carry, and it was just brutal. Like I had tried probably 7 different running backs last year, and so that's one, I think, is part of my offensive line, but two is just being able to figure out the run game. And so I'm hoping I can find that this year, because if I do, I think that's going to even open up more of my passing game, and I feel like my passing game's there. And I also feel like if I have a good running game, that helps my defense.
Big Hurt, what do you got for our guy Randy?
Randy, what's it going to take for you to, you proved yourself confidence-wise, you got it back. I feel like you may or may not be riding the confidence level that you were last cycle, but you're not like completely to where you're like, I can't win, I can't do anything, type of thing. So for you, what do you think is the biggest challenge to get over to the next step? I know you said earlier, I played nipple. I know what I did, mentally toughness, like, we talked about that. What is the one thing that stands out for you to get over to that next hump? How are you going to achieve that?
For me, it's just understanding in each game that if I don't score first, if I turn it over first, I get a weird Madden play that pisses me off, like, just stay even keeled. I'm not somebody who, like, people say I have confidence, and I think that's fair, but I'm not like cocky about it, but I can beat anybody, but I also can lose to anybody. I have to remember that everybody's capable and treat each game like it's a playoff game. And I think the second part of that is I just have to really develop certain positions to kind of, like, I didn't have great pass rush last year. I think it's going to be a little better this year. But I think it's just developing those positions and staying even keeled, not getting too high or too low.
Well, fellas,
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, I think it's Nate's turn. We got to.
Well, let me wrap it up with both of you first. What do we expect from the Vikings in season 114?
Man, that's tough. I would love, just based off of my confidence. And I could be 3-13 and still playing confidence, but at the same time, like, it's a different sense of confidence. I think we've talked on these shows plenty of times about, like, I'm not a type of guy that's just going to throw the game. I'm out to win every single game, whether I'm 0-16 or 16-0. And so, for me, I feel confident enough. I've got the roster, maybe not the roster on a paper that stands out as an 88 or 89 or 90 overall, like the Lions or like the Bears. But I feel like I got enough playmakers and enough weapons and tools that I can use to my strengths and my ability to compete, whether that's a wild card or a division championship. I think I'm going to be in the picture. I think I'm going to play, and I think I have the ability to be a playoff team. I just need to, kind of like what Randy was just saying, is I got to remember each game it's not like rinse and repeat type of thing, or every game's going to be the same. There's going to be uphill battles, adversity that we have to overcome. And I just got to remember, like, you know, don't let that snowball turn into an avalanche for me, because when that happens, that's where things just go really ugly for me. But if I can just play in the moment and battle that adversity and keep myself in the game, I feel like I can win enough of those close games to be able to at least be a playoff wildcard team, and then, like last season, be in the picture to compete for the division at least.
Randy, what about you? What do we expect from the Colts? What a run that you went on last season. Both of you really turned things around last season. The Vikings just kind of barely falling short, but what do we expect to see from your Colts?
I think what Hurd said about his roster is very similar. I don't have the high overall roster. It's probably bottom 10, but I have my core players, the players that I turn to, are very good, and I think if I play smart, I can go anywhere I want to go. I was talking to Kobe after the season, and I think we both kind of have the same mindset of it doesn't really matter how we get there, whether I go 17-0 or I'm 8-9 and get the last wild card spot. I mean, it's the same level. As long as I'm in there, I'm in there. That's the goal, make the playoffs no matter what. It's going to be tough. My schedule is ridiculous, but I knew that was coming, and I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I don't know if that's the right word. I'm curious to see how all pros going to play without abilities. So I'll have to adjust to that and just play my game and make the playoffs one way or the other. That's the goal.
Well, fellas, the guy is going to talk about his Vikings for 2 hours. Poor Cincy, man. He gives you such a hard time, Mr. Big Hurt. Yeah, I guess I'll take y'all's questions. I'll talk about the schedule, and then we'll get on out of here.
Since he can give me all the shit that he wants to give me, but I've invited this guy to come on and talk about his Jets, and not once has he joined in.
I don't know what's going on with that fella. I don't know what's going on with him.
On that note, I'm going to call him out. But let's talk about the Saints and the old who dat. And I think for you, my biggest question is, what's it going to take for you to find the confidence that you need to play? Because when you play with that confidence, and you seem to kind of go game by game, week by week. One moment you play with like a lot of confidence, and then the next week, like one bad thing happens. You run into the mighty all like 99 Ravens defense, and it just like beats you up, and then you're kind of in your own headspace for a week or two. I think for me, what's it going to take for you to gain some confidence, knowing that, yeah, you don't have the best overall team, but you're in those games and you can compete with the roster that you got. I think you play at such a high level with the safeties and really challenge people when you're calling offensive plays. How is that, like, what's that going to take for you to overcome that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. It's a good question. One that I don't really have a lot of answers to. I think that when you lose it sometimes, whatever that it may be for you, whether it's hunting, drawing, fishing, playing video games, in sports, it feels like the harder you push to get yourself out of it, the worse things get. And I think for a couple, since last cycle when I really hit my skid, I've done that when it comes to gameplay. Now, there's still the boneheaded decisions I make. I still make these boneheaded throws of just like, why? Why did you make that? I still remember playing you and just making a late pick six throw of just like, I seen it, I looked at it, and my brain still went, push the button anyway. I was just like, why? What am I doing? What am I doing? And I can overcome those whenever I'm doing other things well. And I think my lack of confidence has come from the ability to team build. I've just lost it. And I feel like this draft is a perfect example of trying really hard the last two drafts to find it. And the harder I try, the worse it gets. Just like every pick today just felt like it just got worse and worse. And these are just unplayable players on most people's team. I have, I think, the lowest overall team, and I just can't figure out how to get out of the hole. Every move I make seems like the wrong one. I drafted a running back the end of last Madden that I I did a stream where I allowed the stream to help me pick my 3 import guys, and I got talked into this linebacker. He was big, he was strong, he was fast, he was everything you'd want from a linebacker. I think he was a superstar. He comes over here and does nothing. I'm telling you, nothing for me. Not a sack, not an interception, not a batted ball, not a pressure, nothing in the first 2 seasons. I ship him off to Roger, and he makes the Pro Bowl. It's a perfect example of, I don't know what I've done to lose it. Some of you in this stream have gotten DMs from me asking for your advice, for your help, how to get unstuck. I think that's where my confidence is going to go. That's a long way to say my confidence is going to come from figuring out how to team build again. I'm never great at trades because I don't have a lot of time to do the things that great traders do, and that is zero in on a handful of players and don't give up till you make it happen. I had a deal last night with the Titans, figured out 2 picks, a second and a third, both high picks in the second and third for an X Factor linebacker. And I talked myself out of it because I didn't want to do 2 for 1. I didn't want to, the unknown of the draft. Like, what if you popped on one of the draft picks and now you've got an expensive player with an ability that you can't use because there are no abilities, who's got, a little bit lower speed. And when you looked at his stats from the Houston, did nothing for Houston. So it's just like, I talked myself out of deals. I talked myself into the wrong deals, and I got to figure out team building. I think once I figure out the team building, I'll be able to have the confidence. My gameplay comes down to 2 things. It's my offensive and defensive lines. Am I able to get the pressure? When I won late last season, I got lots of pressure. I know I'm way over talking this, but when I won last season late, I got pressure, and I started protecting the quarterback. When I wasn't protecting the quarterback and not getting pressure, I lost all those games. They were close, but I lost them. So it's hard enough to compete in this league. It's even harder when you're competing with a 10 overall less team and then making boneheaded choices like I do sometimes.
I think for me, what I'll just kind of piggyback off of what you just said, though, I think just as a simple 1-line piece of advice, yes, you are playing with a lower rated team, but you got to find the small battles and the small wins and build on that, because that's what's going to build those stepping stones to success. I think also, when you are trying to find linebackers that are low rated or maybe average rated to have the success, whereas Roger plays in a division that's maybe not as it's more of a pass happy whereas you've got Bird, who's such a strong play caller. Fleury's got a really good team. Kevin's an air it out pass guy. So linebacker to me is unless he's really eating up the run game against Bird, but Bird's such a dominant runner and also strong play caller, it's hard for those guys to stand out. Whereas if you have strong high rated linebackers, they're going to make those plays, and then you use a lower rated safety because you're so good at using the safety. That'd be my only piece of advice for you. But it also just kind of taking the small wins for what they come. You're going to make mistakes. Every single person makes mistakes. You just heard D Money say that he makes mistakes, and we know that D Wayne is admitted to making mistakes. Even the King of the Kings have made mistakes, but that's just part of it, and it's who can overcome him. Randy made a point of, if that would have happened to me, what happened to Colin, I would have been down by 30. That's honestly God's honest truth about how I am. I just let that snowball turn into an avalanche. And if I can minimize that, that's the biggest thing for a lot of teams.
Randy, did we put you asleep?
I noticed I called out Cincy and he popped in.
Oh, did he? Well, look at that. Well, Randy, let's wrap me up real quick. We'll talk to Cincy and then we'll get everybody out of here. Any questions for me?
So I would say I agree with pretty much everything Hurt said. My question is kind of, I don't know how to phrase it, but we just played not too long ago in that OMFL college league, and you kicked my butt. You're a good player, and I think we're different people. I get mad and I say really dumb things, but that's just me. And you get mad and talk about the game, and it kind of seems like there's just, and Hurt was saying for him, the avalanche thing, there's a mental side where one thing goes bad, it turns into another. What for you is your pull yourself out of it, how do you think you can overcome that, even with the low roster, with you think you're struggling in drafts? Like, how can you overcome that? Because I know you're a good player. You know you're a good player as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it does. You've just recently started to do it, but it does add a layer. You always know someone's watching, but when you're on camera, when you're on voice, there is an entertainment layer that has to try to happen. I don't know how entertaining I am, but there is an entertainment layer that does try to happen where you are trying to answer. My favorite thing that sets me off is when guys ask me like league questions when I'm in the middle of a game, like, hey, when are we doing this? Or, hey, why did you? I'm just like, are you out of your flipping brain? Like, what is wrong with you? I think because of that added layer, it's sort of hard to unplug and just like, okay, I'm going to hone in. I'm going to get focused here. I'm going to try to right the ship. I think what I end up doing is, okay, avoid the mistake. And as we all know, when you try to avoid the mistake, you end up making more mistakes. And so it's how do you play loose? How do you play free? And it's, for me, the frustration level, I think, ratchets it up because I'm on camera. Not only am I making mistakes, I'm in my own head and I'm reading the stupid comments in the chat about my mistake. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's never positive. Always some smart aleck comment. There's always some smart aleck remark that gets under your skin. And now you not only can't shake that you threw a dumb pick or you gave up a big play, but you can't shake that stupid comment. And you just want to reach through the screen and slap that person for being a jerk face. I think that's difficult. So I think if I can start to figure out how to draft better, that's always where my confidence starts. I up to the last 2 cycles, I've been a pretty decent drafter, play call better, and then learn how to unplug even when I'm on camera and really get focused and honed in. The few games where I beat D Money and D Wayne, if you'll go back and see those games, I wasn't on camera. And it's because it was just me in my room, able to sort of self-talk. Like, it's another thing you can't do when you're on camera. You sound like an idiot. So it's like, how do I hone in, even though I'm on camera, and make it happen? And that can be a bit of a challenge. And I also think, like all of you, like all of us, I got to get some wins under my belt that matter. Like, beat some big-time teams, win those close games. I had a ton of close games. I got blown out by the Falcons. I got blown out by the Ravens, but all the other games were either really, really close or relatively close. Like, got away from me late in those games. So I got to sort of figure that part out.
For sure. I think that's a good answer. I'll ask you one more and then I'll be done. So you kind of touched on it, the close games. You did get pretty hot towards the end of the season. And I know you didn't have the wins to really back it up, but like, you were in all those games. For you mentioned, staying level headed, finding a way to unplug or not let the comments bother you. But from a gameplay perspective, what is it that you think can take you from competing to or staying close, but to competing and winning those games?
I go back to the offense and defensive line. If I understood the answer correctly, I have to be able to establish the run. The run went away from me last season. 2 seasons ago, I found some run with the rookie running back. Completely went away from me last year. I had to rebuild that offensive line. That's just like version 2 of them. I still don't know if they're quite there yet. I have to establish the run, and I got to find the fluidity of play calling. When I watch Big Hurt, like, it's easy to call the guys out, but a lot of the guys who win well here and win consistently here, even if they're not winning championships, there's a fluidity to their play calling, a fluidity to their mindset, a fluidity to boom, 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 how to do what you need to do. I'm lacking that fluidity. I talk myself out of this player, running this player, talk myself out of that. I start to guess what the other person's doing instead of playing to my strengths. And those are things that I think are really going to have to change in season 114. I think season 114, honestly, is going to be another really hard year for me. I'm wasting a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm wasting a Hall of Fame receiver. I'm wasting their sort of careers, but I don't have the team, I think, to really compete. But can I build this season, have a really good draft next offseason, and then go for it in that last season? That's going to be a key to everything. So we'll see if we can do that. I appreciate the questions. I never get to do any interviews. Let's get Cincy Berg in here, owner of the New York Jets, and used to be a co-host of Hurt, but maybe those two hate each other now. I can't quite tell. I'm just joking, of course. Brand new, well, not brand new by now. I think Baby's a little older now, but softball player extraordinaire, defensive extraordinaire, a championship champion, team owner, coach here in the OMFL, Cincy Berg of the New York Jets. Buddy, how you doing? And tell me, what was your mindset with your team going into re-signs and free agency?
Hey, Nate. How's it going? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, bud.
Oh, perfect. That was quite the intro there. My mindset going into the off-season was a little similar to Randy's. We had a lot of money, and I was going to use it. So I spent quite a bit of money, beefed up the defensive line and patched up the offensive line a bit. My big signings would be Trey Hendrickson. He's a little bit older, but he's going to help out right away on the defensive line. And Brian O'Neill at tackle. He's only 31, but that's still young for an offensive lineman. So he's going to patch up the end there. I lost my second and third linebacker, so I had to get a big piece there to fill. Bobby Okereke, whatever his name is, filled him.
Yeah.
Yep. So spent a lot of money. Still found that I needed to figure something out for the secondary, just a little added bonus to go in, retool for the next season. Right before the deadline there, I ended up trading Trey, gave him my first for Gabe Leverett. I think he was an import for the Commanders. So off him for a year or two probably. He comes in, he's like a 87, 88, so he'll be an immediate impact in the secondary, so that should help. And that's kind of where I stood going into the draft.
What'd you think about your season in season 113 overall? I said it first. I'm taking credit. I thought you built one of the most athletic, fast, playmaking defenses that I had ever seen in season 112. So I knew 113 would be great for you, and you did turn things around pretty quickly. What'd you think about your season?
Season 113 was good. It was definitely improved. I got all the pieces that I wanted to make my run. Unfortunately, fell short, and at that point, with all the pieces there, my goal is to make it to the Super Bowl. So if I don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's a bad season. So I didn't, it was devastating losing to the Ravens, but it is what it is. Go for next season, shoot for the moon, and that's the goal, Super Bowl.
Guys, what questions y'all got for our buddy Cincy Berg?
Randy, I'm going to let you go first so I can end on this short and sweet with him.
That's a good one. What's up, bro? How you doing? Good. I think we both, they were not like the scores weren't the same, but our games against Nipples were kind of similar, and we were right there, and then we kind of threw some interceptions and let it get away from us. For you, what is that? What's that piece to your team? What's that piece to your mindset that gets you over that hump or helps you get where you want to go?
Well, in that kind of game, I know I've watched Nipples play way too much this season. I know what he's doing, and I'm staring at his user nickel corner the entire game, and I'm just playing right into his hand. And I just gotta play my game. If I play my game, it's a different story, and that's what I thought about for about 24 hours after that game. So, just gotta play your own game.
I hear you. So outside of Lowry, he's obviously last time I checked on the voting booth, I don't know when the awards are coming, but I think he was in the lead for Offensive Player of the Year. If I'm correct. But outside of him, you let Devontae Adams go, I believe. I don't have your roster pulled up, but what do you think your playmaking there is going to look like to kind of like, is it like Nips can take that guy away to like, what are some other guys you're thinking to step up for you?
Yeah, I did let him go. It was kind of like a 12 pick rental. I ended up trading like my late second for early third, so it ended up working out. It was a good one season rental. He did very good for me. But I still got Terry McLaurin. I signed him for a few years, so I'll have him for this year and probably next year too. I think his penalty's too much, so I'll end up having him for the cycle. But I did replace Devontae Adams with Tyreek Hill, so I do have Hill. So that will be my second receiver that will hopefully help out Lowry when he gets usered or double teamed or whatever the plan of attack is.
Talking about Tyreek Hill, when I was in free agency, I saw he had like the 89 speed. Did you use like a regression on him, or you just keep it the way he was?
No, he's good. He's still got the acceleration, the agility, and the 97 change of direction.
Okay.
I don't need the 99 speeds. My fastest guy, I have one guy over 91 speed, so speed doesn't matter to me in that spot. I need the other things.
I gotcha. Well, Hurt or Nate, if you got anything for him, I'll let you take the floor.
I'm gonna let Hurt go before I get my last one in.
Cincy. I know you give me a hard time about talking, being long-winded about all that.
Oh, you can do it. You can do it. You're good, brother.
But no, I'm intrigued with the Jets and what you got going on over there. Tyreek Hill is a big ad. I think he'll be. Trying to remember the Saints receiver that Nate let walk when you were the Colts and you picked up Mike Thomas. And you put up, you put up like an incredible season with Mike Thomas. I know that that's something you can do with a guy like a Tyreek Hill or a McLaurin. You don't have to have the fastest guy. And so I'm very intrigued to see what you can do with this receiver core that you got. But if you had one position area group, what is the one thing that you feel like that you maybe wanted to improve that you didn't, or that you like didn't get a chance and it's still, or that you want to improve still? I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
What I didn't really, I would like to feel a little bit more comfortable with my tight end selection. Last season, I offered Dawson Knox a stupid contract. So now I got him on my roster, and I don't really love having him on my roster and try to draft a tight end. He's okay. He's more of a run blocking tight end, but I'd like to have a better vertical threat tight end. Just to take the ease off as well. That's probably what my hit and miss was. Maybe if I had that first rounder still, might have been able to get a better tight end. But yeah, that's one thing I'd like to get better at.
That is the last thing anybody that's playing the Jets needs to have is you with the tight end on top of all the other weapons you got over there on offense. What do you feel like is the biggest obstacle for you to get where you said OMFL? What's that biggest obstacle? Whether it's something that you need to personally do or get out of your own head, a team, a roster. What is that for you?
I probably got to utilize my running back room a little more. I mean, I put too much. I think I put too much of the game on the quarterback spot. I think McDime sometimes, we're not playing on rookie here. You can't do it all. So I need to balance out my game a little better here. But that also being said, I loaded up a little bit on the defensive line. I need to get a little better with defensive line play, as far as maybe being more consistent, stopping the run, or just getting more pressure. Like, I'll get pressure, but I don't get to touch the quarterback. We barely get a hand on them. So, maybe that's the key there. We got like 3. I don't know. I picked up Cameron Hayward, Khalil Mack, and Trey Hendrickson. I picked up like 3 30-year-olds, but hey, they're all right. I got veteran presence now, so we'll see.
I think for me, I'll just end it on this. It's not really more of a question; it's more of a statement. I think you're missing a kind of a, as Nate would say, a sexy skill set name, whatever you want to call it. But you're missing the name to go along with the McDimes name for the quarterback. You need to have like a receiver. That way, Nate could just really love that combo you got with McDimes and the receiver. You got to find a good name for a rookie receiver for you.
Let's find you a McNuggets.
I think we're good.
We'll find you a McNuggets. I think that'll go in perfectly with McDimes.
There you go.
Cincyberg. I love that you and Hurt make content. I know you both have not had a lot of time to make a ton of content, but I think you guys play off each other really well. I also enjoy watching your games sometimes. So I'm like, is he asleep? I can't tell if he's asleep or not. What are we expecting from the Jets? You've talked about trying to get to the bowl. I can't tell if you're excited or depressed about this team. I don't know what you are. So what are we expecting from your team in season 114?
All right. Well, first off, that's because Hurt invites me to do this show at like 11 o'clock at night, and then invites Maniac, and you already know what happens when those two are together. So then it goes on for 2 hours. So I am excited about the team. There's a couple pieces that I miss. So, you always want to, hit a home run on a couple pieces, but if you don't get it, you don't get them. Pretty much got the same offense as last year. So I expect, similar numbers on the offensive side. Defensive side, change out a couple things. Still got the corners and my main linebacker, Joe Hayden. So yeah, I am excited about this team. Honestly, I forget what question you asked because I was doing something as you were talking. But
what do we expect for them?
What do we expect? Well, we're going to expect a tough division, that's for sure. It's going to be much tougher this year, I think. I think all 4 teams can definitely make a run to win a division. So that in itself, I think, will automatically should help each person in the division be better, because you're playing a tough game every week to try and just make the playoffs. So I think that prepares you for the playoffs. Any team that makes a good run, they if they have a tough division, I think it just prepares them.
Well, buddy, I'm pulling for you. Looking forward to see what your Jets can do. Just a personal question: do you want to play this Week 1 preseason game?
Yeah. Can you give me like 10 minutes?
Oh, I'm gonna need more than 10 minutes. How long can you give me? Can you give me 20?
Oh yeah, I can give you 20. Yeah.
All right. Well, give me 20. Let me do a few little things. I'm not gonna do my training camp. I'll do the other stuff and get my team ready and get this thing wrapped up. Cincy, pulling for you, man. Thank you for joining the show tonight.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
There you have it,
You guys can play your game, and then we can have a show tonight since I'm all warmed up, Cincy.
I love it. I love it. Well, there you have it, Mr. Cincyberg. Big Hurt, Mr. Randy, I appreciate you guys. This has been a fun show. I know that the engagement's been lacking a little bit. I've seen some things in chat that Sundays are hard. We've done Sundays many times before, and they always, Sunday actually feels like a pretty good day for most people. I don't know if it was the early time slot, but I don't know. We'll try this one again and see how it goes. I think, though, after this one, I might stop voting for when things are and just start telling you guys when things are and try to do as quick of an off season as I physically can handle. So we'll see how that goes. Give me one final thought as we wrap up the show. Then I'm going to tell the schedule and we're going to get out of here. Mr. Randy.
It's been a pleasure being on the show. I appreciate it. If you guys ever need another guest, hit me up. I'm more than happy to do it. So thank you for that. It was a great show. I'm happy to be here, and I'm really glad everybody was on top of their stuff, and we were able to go through the off season as quick as possible. I know the divisional round, the championship round, and the Super Bowl kind of were dragged out a little bit. So it was good that we kind of made up some ground there with that quick off season, but stay on top of it. Let's have a good season. Let's stay engaged and let's stay positive and not get so into the weeds of all madness, all pro that. Like, let's just play the game. We're all enduring the same suck at the end of the day. I mean, whether it's all pro or all Madden, it's the same for everybody. So I think just stay positive and remember why we're really here. So that'd be my final thought.
Big Hurt, close us out.
Last time you gave me a time to close it out, I think I just preached, we all are here for one thing, and Randy kind of just said that. So I'm just going to kind of reiterate that. Like, I think a lot of things happen in life where we all are dealing with our own thing. Crazy B-Man's dealing with some stuff, and like Kobe, obviously, I just found out, I knew it was a little bit, but I don't know to the extent. But like, that's just two people in this community. But we all are here. Maniac's dealing with health stuff. Nate gets busy at times, and you heard me coming home from work tonight. So long story short there, to wrap that up, I just think we all need to remember that this is a getaway from our true daily life, and this is a safe place where we can come and enjoy what it is and what we want to have it be. I think the old saying, you create it, people will come. Nate has built this place, and this is why we're here. For me, it's just like, I really look forward to playing, and I'm excited that the offseason was as quick as it was, because it's been about a week and a half since I played a Madden game, and I'm just kind of like excited, itching. Baseball just came out, but it's just not the same for me. I enjoy playing Madden, and I enjoy playing in this place. College football is fun, but this community is just different. And so with that being said, I just want guys to, as we endure a new season, all Madden, all pro, switch, no switch, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. You've committed to being here. You know what the expectation is, FPR, all that nonsense. Just play the right way, play with integrity, play with, we make mistakes, be open to if somebody doesn't and makes a mistake, because again, we are human. But at the same time, like there needs to be a sense of accountability. When you mess up, just own it. And so with that being said, season 114's here. I'm excited, and I'm hoping to have another fun season and compete for the NFC title and get into a playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. I think this is it's like just like real life NFL. It is where eternal optimism reigns. We're fresh. We're all 0-0. Looking forward to getting going, and we're going to do just that. I appreciate you guys both being here. We all sacrifice. I know that, especially lately, a lot of people have patted me on the back. I've always been told comments are like cologne. They smell really good on the outside, but don't drink it. And so I try not to drink any of that stuff, and it never passes me by that we all sacrifice. Big Hurt drove straight from work home with the family and everything going on, and is doing this. When I'm sure his wife wants him, or his kids want him, or there's 800 other things he could be doing. So we all sacrifice, and I appreciate everybody doing it. I appreciate you too for being here, because these things would not nearly be as much fun if it's just me sitting here talking. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. We had a great draft show, quick draft show, and then we talked for another hour and a half. So for those of you who are still hanging in with me, I appreciate you. Reach down there, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed here to Grown Folks, make sure to do that. I'm going to get my team ready and then go play Cincy, and then sit up for another 2 hours doing all the rest of my stuff. So take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that I love you and that you matter. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Smash that like and subscribe.